Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So happy to have you, to have as many people as I'm seeing in this webinar. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share with you all the ideas and concepts we're going to share with you. So today's webinar is the fourth webinar of a series of 4 webinars that are hosted by EBSOMED, which is a project that is founded by the European Union, for people who don't know it. And this of webinars came as the answer to the economical and social hardship that we all are facing around the world and basically around the Mediterranean due to the pandemic. So in today's webinar, we're going to focus on one major, very important aspect of the pandemic impact, which is actually the digitalization. The digitalization of the way we work, the way we do business, the way we produce, the way we learn. We know that this pandemic impacted us in like every aspect of our lives. And my name is Ines Nasri. I'll be your moderator today. I had the opportunity to talk to several speakers, and one thing I can tell you, people, is that today's webinar is going to be packed with value. You're going to walk away with actionable takeaways, a lot of tools. So my advice to the audience, grab a piece of paper and a pen or pencil and get ready to take notes, because we're going to share a lot of value today. So without further ado, I would like to leave the floor for my first speaker, who is Mr. Yu Zhou. So Mr. Yu Zhou is the shareholder and board member of several companies. I can spend the 30 coming seconds just to cite them, so I don't want to do that, but you need to know that he is the shareholder and board member of several companies. He is also vice president in Businessmen. He has an extensive experience in real estate, company strategy development, finance, logistics, and venture capital as well. He is a Harvard Business School alumni, and he is very actively involved in several organizations like Harvard Business School alumni and Turkish Education Foundation, ESSET committee, and several others, more than I can cite here. So Mr. Yu Zhou, so happy to have you with us today. Thank you for being with us today. And yeah, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Ines. First of all, given that this is a webinar on digitalization, maybe we shouldn't take a pen and paper, but take notes digitally.
Oh, I'm a hard believer in pen and paper to memorize well, but that's an option as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Distinguished guests, dear members of Euro-Mediterranean business community, I am delighted to welcome you at the fourth and the last webinar organized by BusinessMed in partnership with Union for Mediterranean. Today's topic is #1 issue besides the health crisis all around the world. With the COVID-19 outbreak, the resilience of our economies is tested along with our social systems. Unfortunately, the negative effects of the pandemic will continue for a while, and this difficult period has caused the emergence of important transformation requirements everywhere. When we look at the factors of resilience during the pandemic and the rapid transition to recovery, we see that digitalization constitutes the backbone of this period. It is no longer the rules of the game, but the game itself that is changing. In this new game, we observe major strategic acts at the global level. The EU, while fostering its digital single market, is developing a new model to regulate its digital economy with a holistic approach and aims to set a global benchmark. It also strives to reinforce its global position, especially in view of major competition from China and a better balanced partnership with the US. On the other hand, when we look at the renewed transatlantic alliance, digital is of great significance. In the post-COVID-19 world order, transatlantic cooperation on digital policies will not only have implications for the US and EU businesses, but also on the multilateral level, from WTO in e-commerce to OECD in digital taxation, and to NATO in cybersecurity. Finding the right synergies within the transatlantic alliance on various issues like regulation of big tech companies, data flows, and personal data protection, infrastructure security, global trade, these will not be easy. But a balanced and future-proof approach is necessary to provide effective responses to the existential problems that the human civilization is facing, such as health crises, climate risks, economic slowdown, and democracy's fragilities. At the business and industry level, I believe we all agree that COVID-19 has accelerated the digital transformation process we have already been going through. Economies and companies that had already started this journey have adapted faster and gradually concentrated all their investments in this area. Those who have not started yet again are taking solid steps. Even the most traditional industries are going through this transition. We, as the business world, are experiencing new business models and new preferences in terms of consumers and employees. We focus on how people and economic actors are ready for this transformation and how we can take stronger steps. We strongly emphasize the need for competent people, well-functioning infrastructure, strategic investments, effective collaborations, high R&D and innovation capacity, and a sustainable technology ecosystem for the success of this process. During this period, the increased digitalization in ways of doing business, working life, and supply chains has increased demand and investment in new technologies. The production and the use of next generation technologies such as artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and machine learning play a catalyst role in the increased productivity and added value, regardless of sector and scale. With the rise of new generation of technologies and growth of internet access, smart devices, now we are generating unprecedented amounts of data that no one can possibly imagine. Big data plays a major role in understanding the dynamics of the age. We are moving towards a world where sustainable technologies are gaining importance, R&D investments are accelerating, entrepreneurship ecosystem is growing at an unprecedented pace, business models are being restructured, and cybersecurity is the new strategic area. During this period, the ability of our companies to realize the digital transformation investments in an agile and strategic manner will be the factor that determines the effectiveness and success. The transformation process needs to be handled in a holistic manner in every area, from human resources to data security, from communication infrastructure to organizational structures and collaborations with stakeholders. I believe the role of business support organizations in the Mediterranean are more crucial than ever in helping the companies manage this transition and compete in that international markets, as well as in connecting to this imperative for sustainable and inclusive growth. The value created by EBSOMED at this point is extremely important, and we all need to maintain these achievements.
Absolutely.
The pandemic conditions have also showed us how solidarity and cooperation could accelerate the solution on critical issues. We sincerely believe that our country and our region will establish a competitive economic order in this new normal, and that we will write the strong story of our future together. Dear guests, digitalization touches on important points not only with its economic dimension, but also with its social dimension. Similarly, digital technology is blurring the distinctions between companies and industries as we know them. Offline companies in older industries, those that came to the internet later in life, are looking to develop digital capabilities by partnering with those that have perfected them. Native online companies, for their part, are learning to value the product and service expertise of offline firms as they attempt to turn rapid growth into mature, profitable, and sustainable business models, or simply to survive. The result is the rise of digital partnerships. As a matter of fact, the paradigm shift created by e-commerce offers many companies and entrepreneurs, from individual producers to SMEs and major retailers, the opportunity to develop their markets within the platform economy. It provides important opportunities for women entrepreneurs and those seeking micro-export transactions. In this respect, the actions designed under EBSOMED, especially creating the business country desk platform to link economic actors in the region, are already provide a perfect tool to create partnerships and to learn from each other. The BCD intends to promote businesses working together, reducing costs through shared procurement, create economies of scale, and access new opportunities by sharing knowledge and resources. Additionally, through BCD local partners, companies can also receive up-to-date information on the business environments in the country of their interest. Thus, the BCD will be able to link companies with equipment or service providers, trading partners, and business opportunities. Dear guests, 5G and subsequent generations of mobile technologies, cloud infrastructure, AI solutions, and IoT investments, which will meet the needs of people in an end-to-end manner and in the simplest form, will be important in the forthcoming period. I believe the Mediterranean business world, including Turkey, needs more entrepreneurs, more software developers, more data scientists, more systems engineers, and more product managers who have a global vision and who can work with agile methods. This change will trigger great discontinuities and unleash important opportunities for our region in the next decade. If we are to be competitive and relevant in the global system, digital is our only option to close the gap between us and the rest. We must create opportunities for our scientists, academicians, entrepreneurs, and employees in the region to work together. During this period, Europe will invest in two main areas: Green Deal and digital. We, as part of this regional ecosystem, must create benefits all together. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Yujo. That was very, very insightful. And I loved it when you talked about the offline companies. That concept itself tells it all. So I believe that companies today cannot afford to be offline companies anymore. If you're not an online and offline company, you're missing something. Definitely, you're leaving money on the table, and you're missing out on this huge opportunity. If I may add something, when you talked about the IoT, AR, and VR and all technologies, just to give people an idea about the new jobs that are being created, it would be interesting for anybody in the audience to have a look at LinkedIn latest report, because they produced an annual report about the fastest growing jobs in the American market. And you would be surprised to see, this is just to back up that you were saying, that jobs related to AI, to machine learning, to data science, and that kind of jobs are growing very, very fast. And there's a high demand in those. So yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Yujo. Really enjoyed your presentation. And now I would love to welcome our speakers. So we will have two keynotes, basically. The first one would be presented by Mr. Mohammed Razes. Mr. Mohammed, good morning. So happy to have you. And the next one would be presented by Mrs. Jeanne Schmidt. Jeanne, good morning. Bonjour.
Good morning. Bonjour.
How are you? Mr. Mohammed, the first presentation is going to be yours. So if you don't mind, I would like to take a few seconds to present you to the audience for people who don't know you. So Mr. Mohammed has also an impressive resume. So Mr. Mohammed is a UFM representative of the Economic Development and Employment Division. He is part of the Barcelona-based staff of the UFM. He is in charge of the creative economy, the digital economy, and the social economy as well. He won a very impressive prize, which is the Goldman Sachs Transaction of the Year in 2006. And I just discovered, I didn't know that you wrote 2 books, Mr. Mohammed. Congratulations for that. I would love to read your books. So the latest book is titled The Mediterranean, A Shared Heritage. Thank you very much to be with us today. So happy to have you. And the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm really flattered and humbled by your words. Thanks a lot. And good morning, everyone. And very pleased to be here again on this 4th edition of the webinar organized by our partners and friends at BusinessMed. And on behalf of the whole UFM family, I would like again to stress the importance that we give to this partnership that we have with BusinessMed. Much has been said about the extent to which the current COVID-19 crisis has exposed the digital deficiencies within our part of the world, but also beyond, and also the digital gap between the north and the south of the Euro-Mediterranean region. As the world faces the double challenge, if I may call it as such, of sanitary disruption and technological disruption, it has become very clear that adopting new and smart business models has not become just a matter of choice, it has become a matter of fact. And I very much liked what the colleague in his introductory remarks mentioned. It's not the rules of the game that are changing, the game itself has changed. I second that 100%, we coincide on this. What business models are we talking about here when we talk about digital and disruptive models? Models like what exactly? I'm referring to models that would capitalize on digital technologies to improve various dimensions of a company's performance, enhance its value proposition, give it a competitive edge in the market, and answer a broad range of very crucial questions for a company's survival. Questions about content development and management, about transformation through process automation, about modalities of reaching out and maintaining and acquiring customers, to the end of a very long list. Now, we have been bombarded in a way by the 4th industrial revolution, not only as a technological disruption, but rather as a socio-economic detonator of so many phenomena. Phenomena that are redefining our post-liquid modernity, if I may borrow the terminology of Zygmunt Bauman. No? I'm talking about such novelties that companies and entire companies now, entire countries now are trying to embrace. I'm talking about platform capitalism. I'm talking about digital feudalism. I'm talking about post-truth condition. I'm talking about the commodification and the price tags put on personal data. I'm talking about I Spy and surveillance community, among so many other phenomena. It would seem that from here onward, it's all uphill. But if anything, it has always been like that, by the way, since the dawn of time. Every major knowledge revolution in history has started like this. The Neolithic revolution, the scientific revolution, the Copernican revolution. So they all started with trial and error. They had to start somewhere, no? And then they developed a model of leveraging on cumulative knowledge. And finally, they reached, and this is very important, they reached a critical mass whereby the return on investment, in our case with the digital revolution, the return on investment in digital technologies and digital transformation would outweigh the cost of the initial investment. In other words, for this to really work and lead to a deep digital transformation worldwide, we need to reach this tipping point whereby the return on investment is much higher than the cost of ignoring this altogether. No? Now, it is not on technology alone that this hoped for economic recovery must rely, because then there is a huge skill gap as well when it comes to digital transformation. Without skilled operators, without skilled and educated users, this transformation will be doomed to fail, basically. This comes at a time when we are reminded by the World Economic Forum that 35% of the skills that are now deemed necessary will be completely irrelevant by 5 years from now. And this was issued 2 years ago, so we have 3 years down the road. How can we equip people with the necessary skills in the digital age? How do we bridge the digital literacy gap between and within countries? Because frankly, if the digital transformation has a little trickle-down effect on at the macro level, then it would only contribute to further deepening an already existing divide. No? At the UFM Secretariat, we are no strangers to the digital transformation. It's part of our mandate, and last year, as we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Barcelona process, or the Euro-Mediterranean Partnership, there was a joint statement by the UFM co-presidency on the occasion that made a very clear reference to 4 priority areas of action for the years to come. And there was a very clear emphasis on digital transformation. This comes as no surprise also, and it is anchored to so many references, and you all must have read the new neighborhood policy issued by the European Union and its emphasis on digitalization. Now, in 2019, we held the first UFM event fully dedicated to digital transformation. It was a conference on digital transformation and digital skills for the future that we co-organized with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Estonia. Why Estonia, by the way? It's a member state of the UFM and it's a pioneering country in this field. So we went there to learn from their experience, and we made it very clear at the time, and I would like to stress this again now, that our engagement with the digital age, with digital transformation, is not a one-off activity. No, it's part of a structured engagement. And we had the first concrete follow-up to this conference earlier this week. We held an e-governance technical training to the stakeholders in Algeria. And as such, it led to a triangular cooperation in which we brought the Estonian, brought them digitally, of course. We brought the Estonian ICT cluster to share their expertise and give technical training to the Algerian officials and stakeholders on e-governance with the intermediation of the UFM and our partners GIZ, BMZ. And this is only the first of several programs of technical trainings that will take place in other countries of the south and the east of the Mediterranean, because down the road we have Lebanon and Palestine. Both of them showed their interest, and it's in our pipeline. And we have also been developing our ecosystem of partners in talks with the Mobile World Capital, and we are about to agree on a concrete proposal for collaboration for this and the coming years on promoting knowledge about the building blocks of a smooth and successful digital transformation. This is only an example, of course, because I don't want to monopolize your time, but I just wanted to share with you these examples as concrete examples of our engagement with the digital community and with digital transformation. I really don't want to take a longer time, and I'll give the floor back to the moderator, and I thank you very much for your attention. And should you have any follow-up questions, I'll be more than glad to attend to them.
Thank you, Mr. Razaz, very, very much. Thank you for those insights. I personally didn't know about Estonia. I don't know about the audience, but that was really, really interesting and to know, especially if there's something to learn from their experience. Before leaving the floor to Mrs. Jan, I would like to address some issues within the chat box. So people who are looking for asking about the translation, it's available for you. And if you need any help, let our team know in the chat box. So there's a translation available for everyone. And if you have any questions, please start sharing them in the chat box. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the event, and we will try to answer most of your questions. All right. So without further ado, I would like to leave the floor for Mrs. Jan Schmidt. Thank you, Jan, for being with us today. And I would like to introduce you to the audience. So Mrs. Jan is a senior program officer in the Employers Activities Program of the ITC-ILO. So the ITC-ILO, for people who don't know it, that's the International Training Center of the International Labor Organization based in Italy. So she is in charge of the design, the management, and the delivery of capacity building activities for employers and EBMOs, that's employers and business member organizations, in several aspects. That's like membership strategies, membership building, management policy, influence in different regions, that's Africa, Asia, and Europe. Jean also worked in employers as an employer's advisor to EBMOs, also in Africa and several countries in the world. She's also a senior advisor for social affairs with Business Europe. She was advisor for social affairs with Business Europe. And I mean, I can spend a lot of time talking about your amazing resume, but I would like you to right away sharing all the amazing insights we talked about yesterday with the audience. So Jean, with no further ado, the floor is yours. We are all ears.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ines, for this presentation. And thank you to BusinessMed and the EBSOMED project for inviting me. It's a pleasure. We've been following this very interesting project since a number of years and have had the occasion in the past to cooperate as well. So we're happy to be back.
Right.
Yes, as you said, Ines, mine will be to focus on what has been happening with employers and business member organizations. EBMOs is the way we call them. I know that in BusinessMed, we call them BSOs, Business Support Organizations. In many cases, these are the same organizations. So let's talk about business organizations. And if Nadine wants to show the first slide of the presentation, I use the presentation because what I'm going to try and do now in the time I am imparted is to give a glimpse of a new report that has just been released in January by our team, our global team, and especially the colleagues in Geneva. A global survey on EBMOs, which touches also upon issues of digital, not only, but what I'm going to try and do is extract from that report the interesting information, I think, on what's happening with the digital evolution. Of course, previous speakers have also mentioned how seismic the shock has been with the pandemic on the economy, on the social also, and on the human relations, basically, in all aspects of life and work. So I won't come back to that. What I want to highlight is that, of course, business organizations across the globe have been at the forefront of helping the businesses to try and weather the storm first, and also now to try and see how to recover from that situation. And that's why we think it's so crucial to have these data and this research that has been done in 127 countries with 127 organizations, and that is trying to do three things, has three objectives, this research. The first is to take stock, of course, of what has been happening at the level of employers and business member organizations. The second one is to take a lead, look ahead at the role of these organizations in the new context, which is, as previous speakers have mentioned, a whole new ball game. And the third objective is really to take action, meaning to identify concrete actions of what these organizations can do to help businesses also in their digital journey. So if we go to the next slide, we will go into some of the taking stock data that is in the report. And of course, I'll give you at the end the link so that you can go directly also and have a more, let's say, the full view of what is in this interesting report. In terms of taking stock, what is really important is how member-centric employers have, organizations and business organizations have been. They have really put all their resources immediately to try and help their business members. What we see and what we can show in this report is that 81% of the surveyed organizations have renovated and adapted immediately their service delivery. So business continuity for them, but also for the businesses that are their members. 83% have been offering immediately virtual services, be that advisory services or consulting services. And more than half, 54% have also moved their training services, which is a big part of what they do, to an online platform. And I think this is impressive in terms of numbers. When you think back at the rhythm of change in these organizations before, and when you look at the figures today, you can see how it is indeed a whole new ballgame. Next slide, please. In terms of taking a lead and looking at what role these organizations, not only in the crisis, but also looking ahead at how to recover from the crisis. What is very interesting in this report is that it highlights the importance of what organizations are able to do. And this is survey their members, have their own research and own data. And why is it so important? Because that way they were able to give information to public authorities, to other partners, on what are the important measures to save businesses from crawling in the first phase, but also now into thinking in the way ahead. So this is extremely important, this leadership role based on data and evidence that these organizations have taken. They have been able to give good practice guidance on how to manage businesses, but also the workforce, of course, and in how to invest in digital infrastructure. This is very important. They have been at the forefront of ensuring that the right measures are taken, also regulatory measures and implemented. And they have also been, and more, this is a topic of great interest, trying to manage the return to work process for organizations and countries that have been relying on work at home for a very long time, and we're not very used to that. So how to come back to full efficiency in businesses, that takes a lot of discussions, of course, with policymakers. If we look at the next slide, where we try to give you a glimpse on the taking action side of this research, what is very clear is that looking ahead, the role, but also the services and the impact of the organizations will continue to evolve. I think there is a very broad understanding that this is not going to stop. We are not going back to normal. What is normal anyway now? So we have to change, and this is change is going to happen in different dimensions. The first one is, of course, around economic and labor market recovery. This means building the right environment for businesses to drive economic growth and create jobs. And this is, of course, it has always been a sort of, let's say, big field of action, of course, of these organizations, but this is done now in a new context. We can see also that some policy challenges are really intensifying, and that organizations are very clear about that. And here I want to mention, for example, the skills issue and and this is linked to the future of work, of course. This is really a very big issue on how to anticipate the skills needs of companies in the future, and in this very, very quick rhythm of change. This is a big challenge, and it's intensifying now with the new context. Reputation and risk management is also a big area of concern. Organizations are under an increased scrutiny, as businesses are, of social channel, 24 hours media, and so on and so forth. So this is a big area of change, and the new services. And there, the challenge is really to be relevant, of course, to businesses that need to change and need to become more digital, but also to be more attractive. And let's look at the next slide. Just to understand why it is so important. It is so important for organizations to really seize the moment and be more innovative and seize new opportunities for the services. Why? Because organizations are facing a very difficult situation. 80% of the organization that responded to the survey said that they experienced a drop in income. And this is not only linked to the fact that many companies had difficulties to pay their membership fees, but also because of declining revenue from training, events, and all the other things that they were doing normally. Looking ahead, 77% of the surveyed organizations say they are expecting membership reduction in 2021 and beyond, which means that it's really a very hard context in which organizations face and find themselves. Also, in terms of service delivery, as a result of the pandemic, 83% are offering now virtual or digital advisory and services, and more than half, as we said before, are offering training. But of course, there's a difference between the moment in which you had to do things quick because it was the heart of the crisis, and how do you make it sustainable in the long term. And there is a whole new, let's say, challenge for organizations to sustain, to professionalize their digital journey themselves. The last slide, or one of the last slides I wanted to show you, is really about the next steps. It's of course, it's difficult to predict change, but as far as the survey and the research goes, it's interesting to see that EBMOs predict a lot of change in the future. 67% say that their role, their leadership role has enhanced during the crisis and recovery. This is positive, but of course it has to be sustained. 61% say that they renewed part of whole of their membership services. Again, very interesting, very big change, needs to be sustained. 53% say that they will need to review their membership strategy to be more inclusive of all, all businesses, maybe especially, as previous speakers have said, the native digital businesses that might not fall into the fold of the classical businesses in countries, but also to be more, well, to attract people where they are and in the way they are working. And that means, of course, much more digital. The last slide, I promise that's the last one, is just a slide to emphasize the fact that as the ITC ILO, but also as the ILO ACTEM team, we are there to, our role is, our mandate is really to help organizations. And the on the last slide, the real last one, you will see that I have put there a few references for participants if they are interested to go and look at the report, of course. There is also a summary. The report is available in English, French, and Spanish. So I hope everybody can find this report and read it. I think it's a good read. But also another link to what we are doing in the training center in terms of strengthening capacity, building capacity of BSOs now and in the future, especially in all these aspects linked to the new digital context. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Jeanne, for this, let's say, different perspective. That's the perspective of the ITC ILO, that's the International Training Center of the ILO, the International Labor Organization. Thank you for sharing those insights of this survey. So I believe that that was 127 organizations that were surveyed. Is that correct? So that's basically 127 countries, right?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing this information with us. And just like Jeanne said, the information on the report is available. Please go ahead and check it. I would like to take 1 second just to share with our speakers a feedback from people who are attending this event. Would you please like to talk a little bit closer to the mic and a little bit louder so that we provide the best possible experience for our people who are attending our webinar? That would be wonderful. And just a little bit louder, okay? Thank you very much, appreciate it. So our next speaker will be Jihan Gutiba. Jihan is going to talk about a wonderful project, which is the Business Country Desk. She's gonna talk about the regional marketplace and how it is supposed to connect Mediterranean BSOs and SMEs. I would like to take a few seconds as well to present Jihan. Jihan, who is the General Secretary of BUSINESSMED since 2014. Besides leading the international relations of the organizations for almost 15 years, she worked at the United States Department of State in Tunisia within the political and the economic section for foreign grants assistance at the economic support funds. She has an extensive experience of the economic support in managing large programs at international levels. She was responsible for partnerships and networking relations with diplomatic institutions in the EUROMED MENA region. Mrs. Gutiba holds several expert positions in the current. She is currently the executive director of the EU project, and she's also a member in the advisory board of several organizations. Mrs. Jihan, the floor is yours. I don't know if you're ready.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me well? Because I know that I have a problem with my micro.
No, that's fine. From my side, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Inez, for the moderation. And thank you. I would like to thank all the speakers and participants for joining us today for this final webinar hosted by BusinessMed under the framework of EBSOMED project. We have done a lot this year with all the partners in terms of activities and webinars, and particularly with the help of the UFM family. But a lot still have to be done in the future, particularly with the post-pandemic and the survival of our Euro-Mediterranean companies in employment, particularly for youth and women. And we have to balance and deal with the increase of digital transformation. And as Mohammed said, the digital is not an activity, but it will be part of our continuous daily work for the future. Also supported by the figures presented by Jan. So the digital area will be our way to do in the future. So in that sense, the Business Country Desk concept was imagined and created by the BusinessMed members 14 years ago. It was an idea to facilitate business and trade between Euro-Mediterranean region, and now we have digitalized this tool. I mean, it was just a creation at the beginning, but now it's a tool, it's a concept into a platform for business integration in quietly easiest way that can be done through a virtual space. It completely corresponds, of course, to the companies for getting connected and a new way of work, particularly with the COVID-19 situation, noting that we have started to work on this platform 3 years ago, before the pandemic. So the business country desk represents not only a catalyzer of the engagement of all partners at the local, national, and regional level, but also as a privileged space for promoting talent, internationalization, and the private sector in Europe, in the Mediterranean region, and hopefully probably in Africa also, keeping innovation and the sectoral approach as the highest priority for the years to come, and to promote the new inclusive model. So the business country desk will serve the business community and in the future, and will act as a regional online tool and database following a multidimensional and multi-stakeholder also approach, opening up for more inclusive and more sustainable growth prospects. So in this framework, BUSINESSMED, through the Business Country Desk platform, will provide free digital services to SMEs via 3 main services. I will give more details on the 3 main services later. Partnership, business help desk, and the matching tool. So we have added some specificities to have all digital tools inside this platform that will be helping all partners to organize event, matching SMEs and business support organization, manage B2Bs, country profile as standards and legislation, and create extraction with statistic information that will help the organization follow up on results. So it will be the perfect tool adapted to this period for the business community to reach the goal of creating a path with digital business, promote investment and trade. Networking activities focused on internationalization of SMEs have been particularly affected due to the lack of mobility. This platform will extend the reach of the organization, the companies across border, without any limitation, by building bridges between policymakers, funders, and small businesses, by delivering services to access new value chain and diversify markets, acting within an ecosystem to deploy solutions for resilience and recovery. So the Business Country Desk is a unique approach towards more digitalized SMEs. I don't know if Khadija is sharing the PPT. Yes, thank you, Khadija. So I will go mainly through the 3 main services provided from this digital tool: the help desk, the matching tool, and the partnership. So the help desk, which contain an investment guide, procedure, fiscal and financial advantages, regulation, taxes, a trade guide, export, imports with a general framework of trade, nomenclature, and customs duties, trade agreements. So this section will help economic operators to have a clearer visibility on regulatory procedure and infrastructural challenges faced by services providers accessing international value chain. Also statistical data with macroeconomic indicators for each target country, GDP, infrastructure, demographic data. The second tool is the partnership section. So the partnership section provides users with a database of regional contacts, private and public SMEs, BSOs, importers, exporters, local authority, business support organization, and also state authorities that can be filtered and searched through a multi-criteria engine, helping you moving to the action. So this includes technology or research partners to collaborative with their next innovation project, investment partners for moving into new geographic region, international partners, suppliers, buyers, and distributors, implementation partners for supporting regarding the requirement of potential customers, startups to help solve digital problems, of course, particularly in the South Mediterranean region, service providers. So partnership is a crucial tool to create strategy for building alliance portfolios and drive innovation across partners, and to promote the shift from alliance to ecosystem. And the third tool is the EuroMed matching tool. So with the difficult difficulties faced by the SMEs are more linked to their isolation than to their size. Pooling resources is the only way to achieve the level of investment needed to meet the demands of foreign markets in terms of quality, quantity, and reactivity. This involves sharing information, knowledge, and know-how, using common infrastructure or organizing joint procurement. The objective will be to develop long-term relation and partnership between companies, SMEs of both sides of the Mediterranean, aiming for business agreement, license, joint venture, technology transfer, etc. So the next step for this digital platform will be to developing an investment guide in cooperation with the ITC, International Trade Center platform, who also have EuroMed Trade Help Desk platform, and we will be working jointly with them in synergy to have a common platform for all actors and companies or SMEs or BSOs. So trade and investment guide with an appendix on the national status of the national economy recovery will be produced. As SME also are going international, we'll be working on how to assist Southern neighborhood SMEs in their internationalization process. A guidebook also for Mediterranean Business Support Organization will be prepared. And the most important step is the promotion. So the promotion of this tool to be used by all BSOs and SMEs is the most important part. Otherwise, we will have no information from these companies in terms of matching for the Euro-Mediterranean region. So for this purpose, we are planning to organize a battery of national training session on how to use the platform. This year, mostly we will work on 6 countries till the end of the year, and next year we'll be working on 6 other countries. So we'll be going slowly on nationally promotion of the Business Country Desk tool. We will also be implementing several business roadshows, matching fora. So our first one will be launched, hopefully, if the situation will permit it, will be launched in margin of the Connext event organized by Confindustria in Milan. And also we are planning several workshops with our partners, BSOs, Chamber of Commerce, Agency of Promotion, Employees Organization, and Women Organization too. So after the 3 years of accomplishment to have this tool working, we are very proud to share it with you, the Business Country Desk website as well. And more details will be following on the video that will be launched by Khadija just after I finish my presentation. And hopefully this platform will be fruitful, useful, and the major tool for business in the Euro-Mediterranean region, and optimistically extended to Africa in the near future. Thank you, and Khadija, please just share the video with the partners.
The Business Country Desk is a digital tool developed by BUSINESSMED with the purpose of providing the Euro-Mediterranean business ecosystem with an accessible platform that would grant technical and human support for the companies, entrepreneurs, and investors in the region. Business Partnerships is the first of the 3 key services offered by the BCD platform. This tool aims to bring economic actors together in order to facilitate and develop regional and intra-regional commercial and investment partnerships. Through a multi-criteria search engine, the user can filter through several economic operators in the Euro-Mediterranean region, such as SMEs, MSMEs, financial institutions, business support organizations, NGOs, and government agencies. This helps the platform user to effectively locate, target, and contact their future business partners. By doing so, this tool will contribute to an improved visibility of southern neighborhood countries as trade and investment destinations in the region. The Business Help Desk is the second service set to provide reliable data in a timely manner revolving around the socio-economic context, regulations, and key sectors of 10 southern Mediterranean countries. To provide further assistance, this service has been divided into 3 subsections: the Investment Guide, which covers procedures, tax and financial advantages, incentives for investors, taxes, and regulations; the Trade Guide, which presents the general framework for trade, nomenclature and customs duties, trade agreements, and similar information sorted by country; Statistical Data subsection, which presents a list of macroeconomic indicators for each target country, GDP, infrastructure, demographics, etc. Through the BCD, we want the economic actors in the Euro-Mediterranean region to have access to better organization. For this purpose, the platform is providing them with a third service, the EBSOMED Business Matching Tool. This tool focuses on managing online and face-to-face business meetings and capacity-building initiatives through a wide range of features that will simplify the management and organization of B2B meetings. It gives the user access to an events calendar where they can arrange for meetings with other business actors in the region and follow up on them. The platform also hosts the sections News and Opportunities, which review current socio-economic trends as well as the most interesting opportunities, tenders, and calls for applications in the region. The Resources section can easily be considered a treasure chest as it offers an important number of studies, sectoral reports, economic outlooks, and other relevant documents on the Euro-Mediterranean business climate. With all these features, the BCD aims to become the go-to digital referencing tool to position and anchor the excellence of the Euro-Mediterranean economy in the global scenario. The BCD is developed within the framework of the EBSOMED project, financed up to 80% by the European Union and coordinated by the Union of Mediterranean Confederation of Enterprises, BUSINESSMED.
Thank you, Jihan. Thank you very much for this presentation and this wonderful project that's Business Country Desk. If it's possible, I would like to have our people share with the attendees the URL of the platform. That's bcdesk.eu, bcdesk.eu. I personally had the opportunity to check the platform, and one thing I can tell you that it's packed with information, up-to-date information, very user-friendly. So please go ahead and check it. Whoever you are, you might be an employer, an organization, a researcher, or even a student. There is a lot of opportunities and a lot of up-to-date information right there. So please go ahead and check it. Thank you again, Jihan. And that leads us to our next speaker, who is Dr. Sukena Burawi. Dr. Sukena, are you here? Good. Happy to have you, Doctor. Let me take a few seconds to present you, and then I will let you share your presentation with us. So in a few words, because I have a huge resume here, and I want to just emphasize on a few of the milestones. So Dr. Sukena Burawi is the Executive Director of the Center of Arab Women for Training and Research, which is Kauthar. Dr. Burawi has taught in her capacity as a professor of law in the Legal, Political, and Social Studies Department in the University of Tunis, having obtained a doctoral degree in law in 1983. Dr. Burawi has led the Department of Civil Law and Criminal Sciences for several years. Since 2000, she has been a member of the International Court of Environment, Arbitration, and Conciliation. That's the ICEAC. And she founded and directed for 6 consecutive years the well-known Tunisian Center of Information, Documentation Studies, and Research. That's the CREDIF, very well-known in Tunisia organization. And I will end with her role in Kauthar, which is a regional organization established in Tunisia, which role basically is to promote women's rights and women's role in the Arab region. That's just a glimpse on her resume. Thank you very much, Dr. Sukena, for being part of this event. So happy to have you. And the floor is yours. Can't wait to see what you have to share. So Dr. Burawi presentation is going to be in French, and as I said before, everybody has access to the translation. If you need any help with the real-time translation, please share with us on the chat box, and our team will be happy to help you. So again, Dr. Sukena, the floor is yours, if you're ready, of course.
Oui, je suis prête et je tenais à parler en français pour que les participants souffrent un peu, comme moi j'ai souffert quand vous parlez en anglais et que je dois suivre avec du retard parfois, même si je comprends l'anglais. Je pense que c'est important comme expérience de dire que la Méditerranée, elle est multilingue. Et encore heureux que je ne parle pas arabe, hein? Encore heureux que je ne parle pas arabe, parce que ça aurait encore été plus compliqué. Bon, alors, d'abord, actuellement, je suis la directrice. Non, mais ça, je dirais quand est-ce que vous le passez, le PowerPoint, parce que ce n'est pas pour le moment, n'est-ce pas? S'il vous plaît. Donc, je voudrais commencer par dire que le Kautar est une ONG internationale basée à Tunis qui travaille sur les 22 pays arabes et qui est justement un centre de recherche et de formation pour les femmes arabes, qu'elles se trouvent dans les pays arabes ou ailleurs.
D'accord.
Et on se définit un petit peu comme un centre interface entre le gouvernemental et le non gouvernemental, puisque nous avons même la Ligue arabe dans notre conseil d'administration. Donc on a des pays, des gouvernements, mais on est surtout vers les ONG et la société civile, et on se situe aussi entre l'international, le régional et le national. Disons qu'on est une sorte de pont, d'interface entre ces grands groupes qui des fois ne se rencontrent pas. Et notre mandat, c'est de construire des évidences scientifiques, c'est pour ça qu'on fait de la recherche, et on fait surtout de la recherche-action d'ailleurs, parce que nous voulons des changements, et que seules les évidences scientifiques peuvent convaincre les grands de ce monde et les décideurs. Grâce à la Banque mondiale, nous avons eu un projet de network, de former un network, et nous avons maintenant un réseau qui s'appelle ANGED, Arab Network for Gender and Development, qui compte plus de 500 membres. Et dans les membres, il y a des chercheurs individuels, mais il y a aussi des centres de recherche et même des entités gouvernementales. Alors, pour revenir à l'entrepreneuriat et le digital, et qui est le sujet de notre jour aujourd'hui, et je voulais quand même dire que jusqu'à aujourd'hui, je n'ai pas entendu le mot genre et je n'ai pas entendu qu'il y avait des différences dans la population. Vous avez jusque-là parlé comme si nous étions tous unisexes, comme les vêtements qui sont à la mode. Or, nous ne sommes pas du tout unisexes, et pire, il y a des gens qui s'habillent très bien et il y a des gens pauvres qui ne s'habillent presque pas, enfin pas bien. Donc, il faut vraiment tenir compte de ces très grandes différences. Et le paramètre genre nous oblige à mettre des lunettes pour ne pas être myope ni presbyte et de voir réellement que le grand slogan No One Behind de l'agenda 2030 est un agenda de rêve, mais en vérité, nous laissons beaucoup de personnes sur le bas-côté de la route du développement durable, et que c'est les personnes qui sont le plus sur le bas-côté, ce sont les femmes vulnérables qui sont les plus pauvres des pauvres. Et donc, je pense que c'est très important qu'on le dise.
Oui, définitivement.
Vous savez peut-être que pour venir à la digitalisation, il faut la mettre dans son contexte. Il faut la mettre dans son contexte, et je vais partir d'une enquête qui vient de l'International Trade Center, donc ce n'est pas quelque chose qui est féministe, qui révèle qu'une femme sur 5, et c'est d'ailleurs les mêmes données de la Banque mondiale, une femme sur 5 dans la région MENA se trouve dans le commerce international. Et la Banque mondiale a bien montré, par ailleurs, dans une autre étude, que plus de 155 pays dans le monde connaissent des obstacles à la vie économique des femmes à cause des lois discriminatoires, mais que dans la région MENA, c'est la région MENA qui a le plus de lois discriminatoires contre les femmes. Je tiens à dire que tant qu'il y a des lois discriminatoires et tant qu'on n'a pas obtenu l'égalité juridique, la question de l'accès égal au digital se pose pour des raisons cachées dont on ne parle pas tout le temps quand on parle de manière neutre du digital. Parce que les femmes ont des difficultés pour s'acquérir des exigences procédurales, qu'elles ont des difficultés pour accéder aux finances, qu'elles ont des difficultés pour accéder à l'information tout simplement, qu'elles n'ont pas de réseau efficient et pertinent, et que parfois, je vais dire les choses comme on l'a dit dans le rapport de la Banque mondiale et dans l'OCDE, et nous avons travaillé avec l'OCDE au moins dans 3 ou 4 grandes publications sur les réformes législatives, les femmes n'ont pas toujours accès aux moyens détournés, y compris la corruption, qui peuvent parfois faciliter les services. Et donc, dans tout cela fait que les femmes sont en arrière par rapport à l'accès à tous les services, y compris aux services du digital. Pourtant, et vous l'avez dit jusque-là, ceux qui ont parlé avant moi, la digitalisation n'est plus un choix. Et elle pourrait représenter, bien au contraire, une opportunité pour tous, et même une opportunité pour accélérer l'autonomie des femmes, mais à condition qu'on la prenne au sérieux pour les femmes et qu'on tienne compte de leur niveau actuel de digitalisation et surtout qu'on mette le prix au niveau des politiques publiques pour qu'il y ait une réelle infrastructure permettant la digitalisation. Tant qu'il y a des régions entières où il n'y a même pas de connexion Internet ou une connexion très variable, comment peut-on aujourd'hui parler sérieusement d'un post-Covid ou d'un Covid digitalisé? Moi, vous savez, ça me fait un peu rire tout ça. Même à Tunis, au cœur de Tunis, il y a des jours où on ne peut absolument même pas regarder la télévision. Donc, soyons sérieux et plaidons pour que les pouvoirs publics, pour la bonne gouvernance, prennent au sérieux la question de l'infrastructure digitale, avant de parler des tools et des outils de digitalisation. La plateforme extraordinaire de BUSINESSMED, on est parti de cet EBSOMED projet qui est vraiment un très très bon projet, elle pourrait marcher que si on est connecté. Et donc, il faut se dire que les femmes vulnérables, les populations vulnérables, ne pourront jamais avoir des startups et toucher, avoir l'information sur l'investissement ou sur les services tant qu'elles ne seront pas connectées. Et pourtant, j'ai dit, nous sommes obligés d'y penser. Et pourquoi? Parce qu'il y a un changement de paradigme. La Covid nous démontre, nous révèle qu'il y aura un post-Covid qui ne sera pas le avant-Covid et que nous devons changer vraiment de logiciel, nous devons changer de paradigme. Or, nous vivons dans notre région du sud de la Méditerranée, et je dirais même de la Méditerranée, 3 chocs à effet durable. Les 3 chocs sont un double choc pour les femmes. Les printemps arabes, c'est le premier choc dont je le mets en introduction. Le deuxième, ce sont les changements climatiques qui vont pousser des populations entières à migrer vers le nord, bien sûr. Et elles vont être repoussées par un effet de balancier, mais elles vont revenir. Parce que comment faire quand on est désespéré? Et puis le troisième choc, la pandémie, Covid-19, qui a un effet différencié entre selon qu'on est riche et qu'on est pauvre, selon qu'on est un homme ou une femme, et surtout qu'on est pauvre ou très pauvre. Donc la Covid-19, elle a même boosté certaines entreprises digitalisées, elle a même créé de l'emploi pour certains, et pour d'autres, eh bien, ça a été une catastrophe. Avec le choc de la pandémie, comme je l'ai dit, la digitalisation est un outil obligé pour les échanges, tous les échanges, qu'ils soient administratifs, économiques, des affaires. Et je dirais même que la digitalisation est devenue le garant d'une nouvelle sociabilité. Sans digital, on n'est pas socialisé. La preuve, aujourd'hui, sans le digital, on n'aurait pas eu ce webinaire. Je suis très heureuse d'être parmi vous. Donc, cette asymétrie entre les pauvres et les riches et entre les femmes et les pauvres, et les femmes et les hommes, Il faut absolument qu'on la corrige. Et je voudrais dire que ce déséquilibre existe et je vais tout simplement maintenant donner quelques éléments d'une enquête que nous avons faite au Qatar dans le cadre justement d'un projet de l'Union européenne. Et je voudrais dire qu'elle est très intéressante parce qu'elle fait écho à la très belle enquête dont a parlé Jeanne Schmidt. Alors, elle s'est adressée au BSO. Moi, je vais m'adresser, dans cette enquête, on s'adresse aux femmes entrepreneurs. Et donc, je vais vous donner quelques chiffres qui vont illustrer ce que j'avais dit en introduction. Alors, quelques chiffres. Cette enquête, on l'a faite dans 4 pays, Égypte, Jordanie, Liban et Tunisie. On a interviewé 222 femmes. Ces 22 femmes, elles ont entre 18 et 50 ans, mais la plus grosse cohorte, qui représente un peu l'âge moyen des femmes entrepreneurs, elle est entre 35 et 50 ans, c'est 46%. La majorité, 63%, sont mariés. Il y a quand même 8% de divorcés et 24% sont célibataires. Ce qui est intéressant pour montrer la modernisation de la société arabe, c'est que la majorité de ces femmes, c'est-à-dire les 35-50 ans, n'ont pas plus de 2 enfants. Et leur type de business, c'est 59% les services, 52% l'agro-food, et puis il y a 32% dans la petite industrie, 15% dans le culturel, 14% dans l'artisanat, 9% dans le tourisme, 15% dans le trade, mais 15 donc, pardon, c'est pas 15%, c'est 15 personnes. Donc 59%, le plus gros, c'est dans les services. Et je disais donc que ce qui était intéressant aussi, c'est que non seulement elles ont peu d'enfants, donc elles ont planifié la naissance de leurs enfants, c'est important ça. Et puis par ailleurs, elles ont entre 2 et 5, la majorité a entre 2 et 5 employés. Donc vous voyez, on parle des petites, vraiment des micro-entreprises, des petites entreprises. Celles qui ont plus de 10% sont 28. Donc c'est presque un tiers, c'est pas mal. Alors, on a posé la question, comment avez-vous lancé votre business? 88% ont lancé leur business par elles-mêmes. Et 28% de ces femmes, 28%, avaient moins de 35 ans quand elles ont lancé leur business. Et ce qui est intéressant aussi pour notre projet EBSOMED, c'est que 34% de ces 222 personnes sont affiliées à une Business Support Organization. Ça peut être des associations de femmes, des chambres de commerce, des incubateurs, mais elles sont reliées, 34% sont reliées. Et voilà, je pense que c'est quelque chose d'important de dire qu'elles vous connaissent, elles connaissent les BSO et elles savent que ça existe. Alors là, je vais venir à demander le PowerPoint, le premier, puisqu'on parle de digitalisation. Je ne sais pas si c'est Inès ou Khadija. Est-ce que vous pouvez me montrer le premier PowerPoint, s'il vous plaît? Voilà. Bon, ce n'est pas celui-là, ça c'est l'annonce. Après, encore, voilà. Voilà. Alors, on a posé la question, est-ce que votre compagnie a un website? Alors, 50%, seulement 50%, je vais dire, ont un website. Imaginez 222 femmes entrepreneurs que l'on veut intégrer dans le commerce international, qu'on pousserait à se digitaliser davantage, à utiliser notre plateforme. Eh bien, seulement 50% ont un website. Et les autres disent qu'elles n'en ont pas besoin. Alors, voilà. Et ce qui est extraordinaire, c'est que je pensais que au Liban, on aurait plus de websites qu'ailleurs. Eh bien non, c'est la Jordanie qui est le numéro 1. Et la Tunisie et l'Égypte sont à peu près au même niveau. Et le Liban, eh ben, c'est ceux qui sont pourtant où Internet marche le mieux, eh ben, c'est là où il y a le moins de websites pour les femmes entrepreneurs. Alors, on a posé la question, deuxième slide, J'en ai 3 hein, seulement. S'il vous plaît, le deuxième slide. On leur a demandé, est-ce que la digitalisation en tant que telle vous a ouvert de nouveaux marchés? Alors, ce n'est pas celle-là. Je vais changer. Oui, voilà. Ouais, ça fait rien. Est-ce que la digitalisation vous a ouvert de nouveaux marchés? 64% des femmes interviewées ont dit oui, elles nous ont ouvert de nouveaux marchés. Et c'est ça qui est étonnant, c'est-à-dire que ça a ouvert un nouveau marché parce que c'est obligé. C'est-à-dire c'était ça ou la mort. Donc, elles ont tout fait pour qu'il y ait de nouveaux marchés, mais je tiens à dire que ce sont des nouveaux marchés très locaux. Et comme elles sont surtout dans les services, et je dirais même dans l'alimentaire et dans l'agro-food, c'est souvent des marchés d'alimentation pendant le Covid. Donc, 64% de ces femmes ont dit que la digitalisation avait ouvert de nouveaux marchés, mais si on rentre dans les détails de quel type de marché, c'est des marchés très locaux et très ciblés et en relation avec la Covid. On a aussi posé la question, troisième slide, est-ce que vous utilisez le e-marketing pour vous vendre, pour vendre vos produits? Et 38% ont dit qu'elles avaient été obligées de revoir leur marketing stratégie et qu'elles avaient été obligées par la Covid. Et ça, c'est vraiment parce que la période de la Covid a duré, elles ont été obligées de faire du e-marketing pour vendre leurs produits ou leurs services. Et qu'elles ont utilisé tout simplement les réseaux sociaux classiques. Elles n'ont pas utilisé les plateformes spécialisées, c'est-à-dire qu'elles sont dans l'ignorance du type de plateforme dont parle Jihen. Et donc, il y a un travail d'information et de sensibilisation très important que nous devons faire. Elles utilisent Facebook, elles utilisent tous les sociaux médias classiques et elles n'utilisent pas les electronic marketplaces, or les dedicated platforms, comme nous l'avons dit, même si elles ont été obligées de se moderniser et d'utiliser le e-market pour vendre leurs produits. Alors, on est venu maintenant à parler de leurs besoins. On a demandé leurs besoins. Là, j'ai plus de slides, mais je peux vous envoyer le PowerPoint parce que le PowerPoint, on l'a tiré d'une enquête qui n'est pas encore publiée et achevée, mais dont on a le draft, qui est très intéressante parce qu'elle a touché autant les BSO que les entrepreneurs femmes. Et vraiment, on a découvert énormément de choses dont on se doutait un peu, mais là, on a quand même, c'est du qualitatif, mais quand même, c'est très, très intéressant. Alors, on leur a demandé si elles avaient besoin d'avoir des renforcements de capacité, et la majorité nous disent qu'elles ont absolument besoin de développer leurs skills en marketing. 23% nous disent que c'est vital. 9% disent qu'elles n'en ont pas besoin, mais la grande majorité disent qu'ils doivent absolument avoir des informations et même des informations sur les lois, parce qu'elles disent que peut-être les nouvelles plateformes, en dehors des réseaux sociaux, elles n'ont pas le droit, elles ne savent pas si elles ont le droit ou pas d'utiliser les plateformes internationales. Peut-être que c'est illégal. Donc, elles ont une méconnaissance totale de ce qui peut être utilisé et de ce qui ne peut pas être utilisé dans nos pays, dans les différents pays, surtout dans les pays où il y a un contrôle de change, comme en Tunisie, par exemple. Alors, depuis le début de la Covid, 65% ont déclaré qu'elles avaient aussi un très grand besoin des institutions de support, 65%. Et elles disent qu'elles en ont besoin pour l'information, mais aussi pour la formation. Et évidemment, elles ont aussi besoin de support financier. 76% de ces femmes, la grande majorité, ont dit qu'elles avaient été obligées de travailler à partir de leur domicile, qu'elles ne pouvaient pas se déplacer et qu'elles avaient en fait déplacé leur business qu'elles faisaient en dehors de leur maison à l'intérieur de la maison, parce qu'elles avaient été absolument obligées de le faire. Mais ce qui est, j'allais dire, négatif, c'est que travaillant, et ça c'est quelque chose que je voudrais vraiment dire à tous ceux qui disent que le travail à domicile est très intéressant pour les femmes, la moitié, et 63% en Tunisie, déclarent que le travail à domicile, le fait de travailler à domicile, eh bien ça impacte négativement sur leur vie par rapport à leur foyer, c'est-à-dire qu'elles travaillent 3 fois plus, c'est pas 2 fois plus comme avant, c'est qu'elles font leur travail dehors et après elles rentrent, elles font leur travail à la maison. Ici, elles font le même niveau de travail, mais elles le prennent sur leurs heures de repos, de sommeil. Donc, parler de travail à domicile pour les femmes, non seulement il y a l'isolement que tout le monde a connu aujourd'hui, même les hommes, ils ont été obligés de savoir ce que ça veut dire de ne pas sortir de chez soi quand on est une femme voilée par les murs, et pas seulement par le voile qu'on met quand on sort, mais l'interdiction de sortir a mis les hommes au diapason des femmes qui, elles, ont toujours vécu plus ou moins murées. Parce que même quand elles sortent, elles sont sous le contrôle des autres, et c'est pour ça qu'elles portent le voile, disent-elles. Et quand elles sont à l'intérieur, ben, elles sont sous le contrôle de la famille, parce qu'elles sont en demande constante, même quand elles n'ont qu'un enfant ou deux. Et c'est ça qui est paradoxal, parce que malgré les équipements plus ou moins modernes, les machines à laver et autres, les micro-ondes, le fait qu'elles n'ont pas une famille nombreuse, elles n'ont qu'1 ou 2 enfants, certaines sont célibataires, bien toutes ont déclaré que la surcharge de travail avait triplé et que concilier le travail à la maison pour leur travail générateur de revenus et le travail qu'elles font pour leur famille, qui est productif mais non reconnu, non monétarisé, eh bien, elles en souffraient énormément et que ça pouvait générer aussi des troubles au niveau des dépressions, du surmenage, qu'elles avaient trop de travail, etc. Et donc, depuis le début de la pandémie, elles disent que leur besoin de support des BSO est encore plus grand. Elles ont besoin de cette aide et je trouve que quelque chose qui transparaît entre les lignes et que je voudrais dire presque en conclusion, c'est qu'elles ont besoin des BSO, pas seulement pour le support technique, mais pour le support en matière d'information et de soutien. Est-ce que vous imaginez ce que ça veut dire? Ça veut dire que l'information qui est donnée par la BSO, elle est considérée comme étant un support moral. Le fait de me parler, de me dire la bonne information, ce n'est pas technique, c'est aussi un soutien moral. Et je crois que c'est quelque chose qui est très, très important parce que 34% ont dit qu'elles étaient membres des BSO exactement, mais 18% disent qu'elles ne sont pas très contentes des services provided by the BSO during the COVID, c'est-à-dire elles auraient aimé un peu plus. Donc, je pense que leur demande n'est pas seulement pour les BSO, mais elles voudraient utiliser les BSO comme intermédiaires parce que leur vraie demande est vis-à-vis de leur gouvernement, des décideurs, elles demandent, et c'est ça que je trouve formidable parce que ça n'est pas apparent, la demande des femmes entrepreneurs, on a fait beaucoup d'études et d'enquêtes, et elle n'est pas la même demande que les féministes, par exemple, l'égalité de l'héritage, d'avoir plus de lois égalitaires, etc. Et pendant la Covid, les femmes interviewées demandent au gouvernement plus de lois égales, plus de support, plus de législation, plus de politique, plus de programmes, plus d'égalité. Alors, ce n'est pas traduit de manière verbale en tant que loi égalité homme-femme. Mais elles demandent tellement d'informations sur les lois qu'on se dit il y a une frustration parce qu'elles sentent quelque part que les réponses législatives qu'elles ont ne sont pas suffisante. Donc moi, je ne peux pas interpréter plus parce qu'on n'a pas été plus loin, mais ce que je veux dire, c'est que qu'il y ait un peu plus d'égalité en amont, on aura un peu plus de femmes entrepreneurs heureuses, entre guillemets, enfin aussi heureuses et malheureuses que les hommes, à l'arrivée. Donc, je crois que la technique, l'assistance technique, le mentoring, le coaching, le training qu'elle demande, 47%, l'aide en matériel, en finance, 39% qu'elle demande, eh bien, elle demande aussi, à côté de ça, qui sont des aspects matériels et techniques, il y a beaucoup de femmes qui demandent une aide d'information, de contact, de dialogue. Et ce que je veux remarquer, enfin, et ça c'est le constat malheureux pour moi, c'est une leçon de modestie que nous devons avoir comme centre de recherche, c'est que 80%, 85% des femmes interviewées disent qu'elles n'ont absolument aucune idée des recherches sur les femmes entrepreneurs que nous produisons ou que les centres de BSO produisent. Elles ne les lisent pas, elles ne sont pas au courant, ces recherches ne les atteignent pas. C'est-à-dire que nous ne faisons pas assez d'efforts pour les vulgariser, surtout quand elles sont faites en anglais. Alors, c'est quelque chose qui est très, très important. Voilà, la petite lueur, disons, positive, c'est qu'elles n'ont pas, contrairement à ce que nous avons étudié, elles n'ont pas fait état des harcèlements et des violences, d'une augmentation, disons, du taux de harcèlement ou des violences en ligne. Et donc, les gens, voilà, je trouve que c'est intéressant parce qu'on sait très bien que les violences contre les femmes ont été multipliées entre 5 et 10, mais ces femmes qui ont été interviewées n'ont pas fait état de harcèlement en ligne. Alors, je voudrais terminer pour vous dire que nous avons bien compris et nous avons bien dit à toutes ces femmes avec lesquelles nous avons discuté, nous avons bien senti qu'elles savaient que le digital, non seulement il est incontournable, mais il permet un rêve. Il permet le rêve de travailler mieux et de disposer de plus de temps. Alors, quand on met ça devant les pronostics et devant les grandes études qui nous disent, par exemple, une évaluation de la Commission européenne nous disait en 2020, avant la pandémie, qu'il manquerait 756 000 professionnels du numérique en Europe. Et qu'on sait qu'il y a des millions d'emplois qui peuvent être générés par le digital, et qu'on sait que parallèlement à cela, nombreux secteurs d'activité, si elles opéraient une transformation digitale, permettraient aux femmes d'accéder à des métiers attractifs, des postes stratégiques, comme le secteur culturel, le secteur de l'édition, par exemple. Eh bien, moi, je termine en disant il y a de l'espoir. Il y a de l'espoir si le programme EBSOMED et d'autres programmes, et si tous, messieurs et mesdames qui sommes à la table, prenez un peu plus de temps pour voir qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour que les femmes puissent mieux utiliser et mieux profiter des plateformes et de vos services. Eh bien, je crois qu'on pourrait avoir un impact positif à la fin de notre projet pour lequel vous travaillez si bien et de manière aussi intensive. Et je vous remercie de m'avoir associé à ce webinaire où j'ai pu parler des questions de femmes. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Dr. Burawi. Thank you very much. I personally really appreciate your presentation a lot, and obviously many people in the audience. And I feel like we needed this reminder. We needed you to remind us that it's not unisex and that the digital acceleration, digital transformation is not equally impacting both men and women. Thank you very much. Thank you also for reminding us that we absolutely need to assess the digital knowledge, digital culture for women. Thank you very, very much for this very, very interesting presentation. Thank you again, Dr. Burawi. We really enjoyed it. Thank you. So our next speaker will be Dr. Sayed Turki. Dr. Sayed, are you with us? Are you there?
Yes, yes, Ines, I'm here.
Hi, happy to see you. How is everything?
Thank you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, but we can't see you. I don't know if you don't want us to see you or it's just your camera or what's going on.
You see me now?
Yes, yes. Hi, happy to see you, Dr. Saeed, again. Thank you for being with us. So I'm going to take a few seconds, if you will, to present you and then leave you the floor, okay?
Okay.
Good. So Dr. Turki is a senior advisor at the Federation of the Egyptian Industries. He was the national coordinator for employers organizations at International Labor Organization in Cairo office. He was also advisor to the Minister of Investment and Corporate Social Responsibility and the managing director of the Egyptian Corporate Responsibility Center. He was also a board member of the French University in Cairo. He was senior regional advisor for the OECD from October till February 2010, October 2006 till February 2010. And he is the senior advisor of the Federation of Egyptian Industries, the FEA. And I can keep talking about your resume, you know that, but we can't wait to hear your presentation today. And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ines. I'm really so pleased to have this opportunity in this important webinar to talk about the impact of the crisis on business, with a specific focus on the role of digitalization and the e-commerce.
Right.
I'd like also to share with you some examples of the two publications launched by the FEI during the pandemic to showcase the efforts of the private sector in Egypt to respond to the socio-economic impact of the COVID-19. The publications have included the cases of around 45 companies and banks. But let me first give you some good statistics about MasterCard study on consumer spending during the crisis, which has revealed how the e-commerce has flourished during the crisis. Nearly 3 out of 4 Egyptian consumers are shopping more online since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Fashion, electronics, healthcare, and groceries have seen the highest surge of online activity. More than 62% of Egyptian consumers had shopped more online for clothing, 56% for computer equipment, and over 55% had bought medicine online. Now I'd like to share with you some examples of the business efforts from our two publications. I'm going to talk, for example, about Alex Bank. Alex Bank has launched a big initiative to build the capacity of around 3,000 handicrafts in Egypt. But crafts, men and women, have suffered great economic losses since the beginning of the official lockdown and are expected to face further decline as their primary sources of income, which are bazaars and marketplaces, have been cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So in an effort to find adequate and fast solutions to the worsening cash flow situation and significant drop in liquidity, Alex Bank developed a full-fledged assistance and capacity building program named EBSOMED Goes Digital. EBSOMED, which is the name of the initiative, but now it goes digital, to exclusively tailor to the needs of the handicrafts community of Egypt and support local artisans, providing them solid digital selling proposition and direct sales opportunities. The creative economy and handicraft sector have been one of the sectors in Egypt heavily impacted of the COVID-19 pandemic, with an estimated 70% drop in sales revenues. Consequently, Alex Bank has think to go in cooperation with Jumia and officially announce a strategic partnership to launch Ibdan Masr brand store on Jumia.com. This dedicated brand store aimed at promoting Egyptian handcrafts, which will allow consumers to browse a rich product catalog. The first phase of the initiative, offering various products of artisans of around 400 different products, benefit around 3,700 artisans, of which over 80% women, and include 15 group of artisans with disabilities coming from 22 different governorates. If we move to another different example from the banking sector in Egypt, the National Bank of Egypt has provided more services via internet banking, mobile banking, call center, and digital branches to minimize the traffic within branches. The bank has provided mobile ATMs to remote areas across Egypt to minimize customers' transportations and also for districts under full quarantine. Also, the bank has enhanced and launched several services to eliminate physical visit to branches, minimize footprint, and enforce social distancing for public safety. Accordingly, the bank has availed phone cash, internet banking, and mobile banking services, as well as a phone cash wallet. Maybe we can have another example from the medical sector. We have AstraZeneca in Egypt. So in order to decrease the traffic on the Ministry of Health and Population's hotlines regarding inquiries about COVID-19, a new service on called Visita website was provided, allowing citizens to call specialized doctors in order to receive medical advices and free consultations. In cooperation with the Ministry of Health and Population, AstraZeneca has organized virtual lectures for doctors to educate them on the latest treatment protocols and observe other countries' expertise on combating the virus. Furthermore, virtual meetings were held since the beginning of the epidemic with various digital communication channels to facilitate communications with healthcare professionals, reaching around 15,000 doctors and pharmacists. AstraZeneca also has launched a public awareness campaign through a group of university professors and the Ministry of Health to educate citizens, patients, and their caregivers on various satellite television channels to raise as much as they can the awareness on fighting COVID-19. Maybe this is the last example. No, not the last one. But the Giza Systems Education Foundation has launched a new initiative to support doctors and hospitals to respond to COVID-19, utilizing digital fabrication technology. The initiative worked on providing doctors and hospitals with free personal protective tools to support their responsiveness to COVID-19. It is worth mentioning also that the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology took a number of good measures to support the health system and sector, coordination with the telecom operators in Egypt. This included granting 3,000 minutes and 10 gigabytes for all mobile networks for free to all the doctors, nursing staff, executives, and workers at the isolation hospitals of COVID-19 patients nationwide. Finally, Vodafone has launched an education platform to support Egyptian students in completing their courses studies online after the decision of suspending schools. This was a very quick brief on the reaction of the private sector in Egypt using digitalization to alleviate the burden of COVID-19. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Said. Thank you very much for all those examples. It was really, really helpful to see how other companies are dealing with everything that is going on around us. Just a quick reminder for everybody who is following us today, if you have any questions to Dr. Said or any of our speakers, please go ahead and share your questions in the chat box. We will have a an interactive Q&A session in a few minutes. You can start sending your questions right away so that we take the time and try to organize them and hopefully address all of your questions. I want to add something else. You know probably that we are live on Facebook. So if you think that anyone that you know might benefit from all the topics that we're going through and our speakers' presentations, you can go ahead and share the Facebook link with them. It's not too late. We still have amazing speakers and sessions ahead. So in this session, the coming session, I will have two wonderful ladies. I had the opportunity to talk with both yesterday about their presentations, and one thing I can say, they are packed with a lot of value and insights. So the first speaker will be Ms. Sharon Ferrugia. Hi Sharon, how are you?
Hi, hello. It's nice to be with you, thank you.
Thank you, so happy to have you. Our second speaker will be Zainab Sadiq from Morocco. Zainab, hi, how are you doing? Can you hear us, Zainab? Okay. Probably Zainab needs a few seconds to adjust her.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. There we go. Happy to have you, Zainab. So our first speaker will be Sharon Ferrugia. Sharon, I'm going to take a few seconds to present you to the audience for people who don't know you. So Sharon is a research executive at the Malta Employers Association. Her job is basically, and here I want you to stop me or correct me if I'm wrong. So her job is basically about conducting research on topics that are related to employment, to the workplace, and coordinating also local and European Union projects. Did I get that right? Did I miss something?
Yes, very well.
There's a lot. I'm not done. So she is also a member of the Core Platform Committee, which is an NGO that works in promoting corporate social responsibility, very important. And she's also a member of the Scholarship Get Qualified Committee and a part-time lecturer at the University of Malta as well. Thank you very much, Sharon. We're very happy to have you with us today. And whenever you're ready, we're ready to hear from you.
Thank you very much. I'm sharing my screen.
We see it.
Okay, so I will be presenting as the case of Malta, of the Malta Employers Association, what we have done through COVID and what we are still doing. Just to give you a brief of the structure of the organization, we are a very small organization led by the president, a number of committee members, and the general director. As a secretariat, we are just 4. So there is me, the research executive, a legal executive, an SME help desk, and an administrator. However, we have a good number of members, which are companies. We represent companies, around 800 companies in Malta, which amounts to 1/3 of the Maltese workforce. So although the secretariat is very small, we have a large audience. The services that we offer as an association are based on legal, so we give one-to-one legal advice on employment law. We represent companies in court and industrial tribunal, negotiations of settlement, and we also are involved in collective agreements and bargaining. The research area, then we conduct qualitative and quantitative research on various issues, like, for example, wage inflation, sick leave, business performance, etc. And the information sharing is done from the research unit together with the SME help desk. We have a specific SME help desk that give advice to SMEs in Malta. We have an information sharing tool, which is called the MEA Index, which is like a sort of directory for SMEs. And we organize, obviously, then events related to all the other, all the units. apart from representation in national and in international boards, participation in national foreign projects, we offer training related to employment as well. And we also have a TV program that has a larger target audience than employers, but on topics related to employment. Before COVID, we used to use digital platforms like, for example, the MEA Index, the one I already said. We have a website, YouTube to share the TV program, and social media. We practically use Facebook mostly. The digital changes we had to do due to COVID, we had to first set up internal policies, so everybody should keep at his own office. We have included teleworking, so the written agreements. We transferred all meetings to virtual meetings, so the council meetings, one-to-one meetings with clients, AGM. And we have upgraded the video conferencing room, which we had to practically more due to COVID, but it was already in place. We had strengthened our services by providing more frequent updates to our members. We had like the panic mode, so we wanted to reach out to our members by giving updates on changes in conditions of work, changes in the legal notices. And we have done this through our newsletter, which was already digital, and we have included other digital tools like notices on social media, posters, and so on and so forth. We have also used the TV program to reach a wider audience. So instead, for example, of inviting, we had to do some adjustments here as well to take precautionary measures. Instead of having interviews done in studios, we transferred, for example, using Skype, which tended to be more efficient and more time consuming, less time consuming, and even financially. So even post-COVID, we are still taking it into consideration to continue like this. We have conducted more online surveys to test business performances, to evaluate the sectors, how the sectors are going, with regards to redundancies, and these were followed and are being followed by press conferences, which are being done fully online. And focus groups with different sectors by using Zoom, GoToMeetings, and platforms of this sort. Apart from upgrading what we were already offering, we introduced new digital concepts, which they have been really beneficial for our members. We wanted to continue providing information at a real time, so we have developed this employer's manual dealing with COVID-19 related issues. So, for example, it is part of the website of the Malta Employers Association website, but opens new pages. For example, on the grants that employers can benefit from related to COVID-19, legal notices, frequently asked questions about particular subjects, and this is working wonderfully. We are collaborating with experts in the field we've introduced the concept of webinars. We didn't used to use it before. And we've organized a number of webinars, again, on health and safety at the place of work during the pandemic, on quarantine rules when it comes to employment, GDPR, and other subjects. We've trained ourselves, and this is very, very important. We've trained ourselves as a secretariat in being more digital. So we have attended training, a couple of training courses organized by ITC, for example, and MDF, which Businessmen had organized for us, and we have attended. And these really helped us not only to know more about how we can go digital, but even to inform our members of the tools that one can use in being more effective and more efficient. We are attending virtual meetings to keep abreast with what is being done at national and international level. And we have transferred all our courses online. We deliver a number of courses throughout the year. And now we are using Zoom platforms. We have introduced a tutorial for tutors and making more interactive sessions by using apps like Mentimeter and other platforms. And we even held our first hybrid conference. We had some physical speakers, and we had other speakers which joined through links. But the audience was fully on Zoom, and it was about digitalization and reskilling, the key for resilience. It was the first hybrid conference that we have managed to do, and it went very well as well. Looking ahead, we are looking in becoming more digital because we are seeing the benefits of it. Although we still prefer, one-to-one meetings sometimes and the human contact, we have seen positive results in going digital. So one thing which we are creating and we are already working on is creating digital company profiles. It is something internal that we would like, that we are working on through our website. Our members have a members login area, and we would like to use this to connect it to the registration form. And each company has a profile where they can list the company representative with whom we usually are in contact with, upload, for example, collective agreements, so we can have access to certain activities. And this will be connected to the mass mailing system. We are currently using MailChimp. So there will be less fragmentation and more coordination from the internal side. Another thing that it is part of the digital roadmap of MEA is the introduction of an online forum, which will also be part of the website, and it will be open for MEA members, where we can instigate debates. So, for example, how will the increase in the minimum wage affect your company? What is the average sick leave in your company? Things that are hot topic or are being discussed at national level. We would like to have more contact with our members, because this will help us, together with surveys and focus groups that we do, this will assist MEA in better representation of its members in tripartite committees and in submitting proposals to government. We are exploring the option of introducing more digital payments for membership subscriptions and payments of events, which might make it easier for our members and non-members to subscribe to our activities, for example, PayPal or Revolut, and becoming more digitally by using VLE platforms for our training courses. Although we are using Zoom and Padlet and Mentimeters, to make it more interactive, we would like to have everything less fragmentation and have everything in one place. For example, instead of sending an email after every lecture, there will be this VLE platform where tutors can upload their material. and everything will be more organized. So that is something that we are looking into, and we hope that we will have it structured by end of year. And the last but not least is being more visible on social media networking sites. We are currently using only Facebook, and we are looking into using more, for example, Twitter and LinkedIn, and syncing everything together, you know, when it comes to the visibility of the association. That is everything from my end. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you very much. I cannot hear you, Ines.
Ines, I think you are on mute.
Ines, I think you are on mute. We cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. So I was saying thank you, Sharon, very much for your presentation. I loved it when you were breaking the like the being more digital into clear steps, and we know that people and business owners need this kind of guidance, clear, simple steps. We need to have more of that, I believe. So thank you very much. Yeah, we're starting already having many questions in the chat box. I highly encourage you, if you have any questions, to go ahead and share them right now, because we're going to start collecting them, and hopefully we will answer all of them, hopefully today. So please go ahead and share your questions. My next speaker comes from Morocco, who is Zainab. Zainab, thank you for being with us today. Happy to have you. We had a nice conversation yesterday about your presentation. I can't wait to hear you talking about it. So I'm going to take the time to present Zainab. So Zainab is a project manager of international relations at the CGEM, which is the General Confederation of Enterprises in Morocco. That's la Confédération Générale des Entreprises du Maroc. All right. And she held several positions in the private sector. As far as I know, you were account manager, brand manager, right, in the private sector. And you have a marketing background, mainly focusing on e-management and e-marketing. Is that right?
Yes, totally. Yes.
Good. All right. Thank you for being here. And yeah, you're free to go. You're free to start the presentation.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that the sound is good.
Yes, if you could speak a little bit louder. I don't know, from my end, I feel like it's not loud enough, but otherwise everything is fine.
So first of all, I would like to express my joy to participate in this webinar and have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the General Confederation of Enterprises of Morocco. I would also like to thank BusinessMed for all the great work that is being done to the benefit of its members. So this is a great opportunity to talk about how the crisis accelerated the digital transformation that we have been trying to achieve for years. So the Minister of Industry, Trade and Green Economy said that the Digital Development Agency completed projects in 2 months that would otherwise have lasted 7 years. So the phenomenon is global. The health crisis has revealed our ability to adapt to new technologies, and Morocco has not escaped this trend. The country has taken a big step in digital, particularly thanks to the COVID-19 crisis. So in fact, managers, public administrations, SMEs, and employees had no choice but to adapt and quickly. Several sectors suddenly found themselves forced to accelerate their digitalization at the start of the crisis without being 100% ready, in particular education, commerce, legal, or medicine. The digital sector has regained strength in Morocco through a wide range of digital services, including health prevention, information and awareness, e-commerce, social protection, and e-gov. The catalytic effect of digital transformation during lockdown resulted in a particular influx at different levels. As an example, e-commerce, a sector where the Moroccan leader doubled its turnover in April compared to the same month in 2019. So a collective awareness and the paradigm shift have taken place, and the challenge here is our ability to quickly see an opportunity in this and transform it into an added value. If the pandemic had damaging consequences on many sectors, it was actually beneficial for e-commerce. As a matter of fact, online payments increased by 23.6% during the first half of 2020, which is about 6 million online payment transactions via Moroccan and foreign cards, for a total amount of 2.9 billion dirhams. This can be explained by the fact that businesses have started selling their products online, and more people are choosing to shop online to reduce the risk of contamination. Thanks to e-commerce, many businesses survived at the beginning of this pandemic and were able to keep their business afloat and maintain a regular performance even during the lockdown. Today, the survival of an SME depends on its ability to carry out digital transformation projects, but to do so, it needs to be supported by different federations, by the state or the CGEM. And CGEM, as the representative of the private sector to public authorities and institutions, stood by its 19,000 direct and affiliated members since the spread of the pandemic in Morocco by implementing a series of mobilization actions that were all promoted on the social media network of the Confederation. First of all, CGM has launched a dedicated website to the pandemic that is fed in real time with useful information, in particular on support measures for businesses affected by the crisis, as well as their implementation modalities. So thanks to this website, CGM was active and involved with its members in the different steps of the crisis. The website presented a list of preventive measures to avoid risks of contamination and also support measures to deal with this unique situation. Those measures resulted from the meetings of the Economic Committee that the government created and in which the CGM is a member. The Confederation has also published a business continuity plan according to different crisis scenarios and a teleworking kit that aims to promote and accelerate the adoption of modern and digital technologies by Moroccan companies. This kit features a list of digital communication, sharing, management, and video conferencing tools, but also gives general tips to teleworking effectively. When some businesses were authorized to resume their activities in Morocco, CGEM published 3 guides and a kit to support companies in terms of preventive and health measures to ensure maximum safety for their employees and customers. They include, among other things, a summary of best practices adopted both nationally and internationally, and referring to the measures deployed by the Moroccan health authorities. Through this bilingual platform, CGM also provides answers to frequently asked questions from companies formulated by the experts who are members of its commissions. The webinars by CGM is another digital service that CGM is offering, and it consists of training, awareness raising, and listening sessions dedicated to members. It offers companies the opportunity to interact with experts on themes such as access to financing, taxation, social issues, customs, legal, and payment terms. CGEM has also set up a new mediation service named Corridors by CGEM, intended for its members. This service of putting in contact with the administrations, bank, and other partners of the Confederation aim to streamline the processing of requests to institutions such as the National Social Security Fund, the Central Guarantee Fund, or the Moroccan Center for Banking Mediation at both regional and national level. The request is done through the website of CGEM, where the member can fill a form with his contact information, the details of his issue, and the name of the institution involved. In order to support the private sector in managing the COVID-19 crisis, the Startups and Digital Transformation Commission of the CGA launched a COVID-19 Digital in Business survey. It aims to collect the practices of companies related to the use of the digital tools. The results of this survey enabled the Commission to put in place a series of concrete measures aimed at accelerating digitalization within Moroccan companies. The study allowed the Commission to deduce several aspects to consider. Regardless of the size of the companies surveyed, they want to implement a digital transformation strategy right away. There is therefore a real awareness, since these companies are already allocating budgets to enable this transformation. At CGM, the Commission is constantly thinking about how to support these entrepreneurs in financing their transformation, as businesses today are suffocating. For them, the challenge is to preserve jobs as a priority before financing a transformation strategy. So internally, to continue to work effectively despite the circumstances and serve our members, CGM has to use several digital tools to be able to carry out some actions. For the reorganization of the internal structure of CGM, the management identified a priority at the beginning of the past year, which is digitalization. So we therefore opted for Google Workplace, which was previously called G Suite. This system brings together a set of tools for document sharing, chat, video conferencing, cloud storage, and other tools, allowing the fluidity of communication within the organization. To conclude, we believe that it is necessary for young people, different social classes, and the population in all its diversity to be stakeholders in the Moroccan economy. The development of digital at all scales could facilitate both access and contacts within the economy. The importance of such development must be taken into consideration, since the digitalization of the country, its public services, and the private sector would facilitate the management and interaction operations with the various institutions and organizations. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Zainab, very, very much. We appreciated all the insights you shared with us. That was short, concise, and crystal clear. Thank you very much, Zainab. So now we're gonna leave the floor to the questions, to all of your questions. I took notes of some of your questions right here, and hopefully we'll have our speakers available to answer some of them, all right? So I have a question for you, Jan. Are you available?
Yeah, sure.
Good, good. So we want to know, that, almost every training now is being done completely online, and we shifted completely from like in-person education training to online. But we know how this works. Usually it's based on using Zoom or any other tools and delivering basically the knowledge the same way we used to do it when it was an in-person way of doing things. Do you have anything just to share with us when it comes to the right process of professionally delivering trainings online? In which way is it different? How is it different from the in-person way of doing things?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Well, yes, indeed, it's quite different. Meaning, of course, you can try and pack everything you were doing in a classroom, or in a seminar into a Zoom. But the problem is that it is then extremely difficult to have any impact. And what you are trying to do with the learning program or with training is actually to have impact on the people that are attending, on the organizations where these people work. And that takes a lot of transfer of knowledge, but also of skills, and very concrete, enhancement of practices. At least that's the philosophy we have here at the ITCILO. And I think for that, to achieve that, it's, as you say, a whole process, not only a methodology. The least worry you have is to choose between Zoom and WebEx and whatever. This is the least of your problems. The real problem is about constructing a learning flow, in adopting adult learning methodologies that will keep people engaged, that will respond to their needs. The central is really to adapt everything you do to the needs of the people that will attend. And then you can think of methodologies, but that's the last step. And unfortunately, what we see, and of course, in the urgent situation where organizations found themselves trying to switch from one day to the other, practically, their services, of course, and it's absolutely normal, there was a big rush, and so we tried to transform things very quickly. But I think now in this phase where we are trying to consolidate things, and where organizations need, or businesses for that matter, need to think much more in terms of resilience and sustainability in a longer term. Now it's really important to think about training in a longer term process and in a more constructed and professional way. And I mean, this is what we try to do also in supporting the organizations through our training course. I mean, Sharon was attending one of those last year, so hopefully she won't say the contrary. But this is really an important aspect, I think, to think in terms of the whole objective of the learning, and not just in terms of digital technology.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit more about the link you shared with our audience in the chat box? What is that? Maybe people in the audience can benefit more.
Yeah,
what is it?
Thank you. No, I mean, it's just an example of, obviously there are many, trainings that are very, very relevant out there. So I don't want to make specific publicity. What I just wanted to highlight is that in the ITC-ILO, we have that mandate of working specifically for business organization. And I can say, let's say that we have a huge experience and expertise in that matter. And what we try to do is really tailor-made our courses for these kind of organizations, and trying to transfer as much as we can in terms of knowledge and skills, so that they can do the same with their own members. This is the idea, we train the trainers, so to say. And that we try to do in different aspects. And for the time being, for example, what I showed in the presentation and what people can find in the links I shared are information on different types of courses that we are doing for BSOs. Some, for example, touching on reputation and crisis management. This is one very important aspect, of course. Yeah. Another one is digital training services. Another one might be membership strategies. And there I asked a question to Sharon, maybe she wants to answer that later on. What we try to do is not only, for example, discuss with people on membership strategies, how are they going to attract, engage, recruit members, but also think of what are the underlying building blocks you need in terms of digital building blocks, like CRM software, customer relation management software, maybe a membership platform, and all these things were so interesting in the previous presentations.
All right. Thank you very much, Jan. Actually, I have an open question. I don't know who can answer this question, probably 2 or 3 of them, or I don't know. So that's an open question, very interesting question, which is about the limits of digital transformation. So the question is basically about to which extent we can digitalize a company, and are there any specific fields or industries where digitalization reaches its limits? I don't know who can answer this question. It's up to you. I don't know. Probably Mohammed.
I think I can share an insight.
All right.
When we talk about limits, what the limits are for digital transformation and for the adoption and mainstreaming of digital technologies in a company, there are so many boundary conditions. Some of them at the macro level, some of them having to do with the mindset and the mentality, the culture, and some of them very technical. I would maybe name some of them. First of all, you need an enabling ecosystem, like with everything else. You need a legislative framework that protects and promotes intellectual property rights. You need a proper educational system that encourages creativity and actually fosters entrepreneurship. You need, again, the support of different entities between government organizations, civil society organizations, the private sector, business support organizations, again, to change the mindset and make people understand that, as I mentioned, it's no longer a matter of choice, but a matter of fact. But then also a very important concern that might somehow mark not the limit, but the extent to which digital transformation can take place is the concern about ethics, the morality of the application of some technologies in the social sphere. And I'm talking here about things like data commodification. I'm talking about online surveillance systems. I'm talking about so many things. I think this limit will be somehow determined by the tensions between those concerned about the application of new technologies and those who are heavily investing with very lucrative return in digital technologies.
Oh, okay. So now we're talking about the tools, we're talking about the way we can make this work. But do you think that there's a limit in the sense that there are industries who cannot benefit probably from the digital transformation? I believe that the question was asked in a sense that are there, for instance, any industries or economy sectors where digital transformation cannot happen or it doesn't have to happen? Probably there's always a reflection about that. And at a level of a single company, are there any aspects of the business that cannot be or should not be digitized, maybe?
I think it's a case-by-case basis, really. I know this is the good old answer, which is one answer fits all sizes. No, it depends, but it really does. Every country is a case on its own. Every economic sector is structured and operated differently across countries. So there really is no golden answer for this one. It would have to be analyzed on a case-by-case basis. And about your question regarding whether certain segments or sectors or industries could not benefit or should not be considering digitalization, well, some sectors by their very nature are, I will not say anti-digitalization, but they call for moving away from all forms of being connected, going off-grid completely. No, it will really depend. It's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, definitely. There's no one-size-fits-all strategy or way of doing things. Absolutely, I absolutely do agree with you. Like you said, every country is like a case on its own, and within the country there are other parameters and factors that are going into play. Now, what about AI? Because we have another question about AI, the use of AI in the digital transformation. What role, what limits, how to control it? Because as you know, there's a lot of people are afraid of AI, basically afraid of technology, and especially of AI and having AI changing the future of work and the way we do work, and basically eliminate jobs in the marketplace and change basically the workplace. What about AI? It's an open question. It's for anybody else.
Oh, okay.
Mohammed, if you want to answer, go ahead, please.
No, I'll just say very briefly that I don't think it can be controlled.
You don't think it can, what?
I don't think it can. And actually, it's not artificial intelligence that concerns me most. It's hybrid intelligence. And the post-digital age and how it would look like. But that's for me. I'm sure the other colleagues and speakers would have different opinions.
Ines, if I can make a brief
Sure.
comment on this. So I think we have this fear of when talking about AI, you know, something, everything is going to be managed by robots and all. But AI is like, we are using AI in our technology we use daily, in our phones, in our laptops. So AI is really around us already. Now, to what extent AI will transform the world, I imagine that, for example, it is a fact that in the transport sector, in 10 years, there will not be the need for drivers, because there will be self-driven cars. It's a well-known fact. However, it doesn't mean that we are not going to need humans anymore. You know, there will be the need for technicians, there will be the need for, so okay, some jobs will be lost, but there will be the creation of other jobs, which for now, maybe we don't even know what jobs there will be. But I always like to be positive on these things. You know, there are so many things that AI is helping us with. Robots in the healthcare sector that are doing operations, they are not going to replace doctors. We still need the human element, we still need the mind and the skills that cannot be generated with technology. So I just wanted to share this point, because there is always this fear of like, we're going to lose our jobs, and not all sectors are going to remain. You know, new sectors new jobs will be created. It is something that I really believe in.
Absolutely, absolutely. We already use AI. Some people who are afraid of the technology are not aware or tend to forget that we are already using the technology in so many different ways that we can't even think about it, because it's there, it's always there. And yes, and basically it's gonna definitely destroy us and change some jobs, but like you said, many others are going to be created. And this is not like the first time this happens in history. It happens over and over and over again, and that's just another time where this change is going to happen. Jobs are going to go, others are going to be created. We just don't know all of them right now. And also, I would like to think about AI when it comes to the jobs of the future, like it's going to augment some jobs. I'd like to think about it that way. It augments, it helps, it changes some jobs, and probably make people faster, more efficient at their way of doing jobs, rather than thinking about it as replacing people or just distracting in some jobs. So yeah, definitely this happened in the past, it's happening now, and it's gonna keep happening in the future. So yes, thank you very much, Sharon. Thank you very much. I have another question, which is about it's for Dr. Are you here? Dr. Burawi, are you here? Dr. Burawi, are you available to answer a question? Actually, two questions. All right, so obviously Dr. Burawi is a little bit busy.
Yes, I am here. I am.
Oh, happy to have you. Because
I am here.
Yeah, we wanted to hear from you. You had this very interesting presentation earlier, and we absolutely need it. So I wanted to go back to you with actually two different questions, if you don't mind. So the first question is about the impact of the new working from home trend on women. I paid a lot of attention to what you said earlier on how women are actually working twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times as much as they used to before the pandemic, and that's the truth. So my question to you, if ever you have an answer or just elements of answer, how would women, how could women tackle that issue? Because obviously we're gonna still work from home for a long time, and even after the pandemic, a lot of companies are thinking about being more flexible, and this means that women are gonna stay work from home with everything that's going on at home that you said earlier. So my question is there a solution to that? How can they manage working from home and trying to protect themselves, kind of, if there's a way?
There was always a way.
Oh,
if you put money and support, there was always a way. It means that you share better the work at home with the family, and if you share, and if you have public services taking care, and if you have your enterprise taking care of your children, sure that there was a way. But if you are just asking women to find the miracle, to conciliate everything by themselves, it's impossible.
Of course.
It means that we cannot have the miracle of digitalization and to say we are waiting a lot of new jobs and of new opportunities and new economic power, but you have also to have a new ethical code. And within this code, you have to think about equity and about equality and about I can say the respect of private life. I think that we cannot have only technical code and know-how. You have also to have, in parallel to this new virtual life, you have to reinvent, and for that I spoke about a new paradigm, because you have to keep some values.
Yeah.
And the values is the respect of private life for men and women, and the needs, they have different needs. It means, and it's very, very complicated, because the new sociability, even with others, even just to find a partner through virtual life is different. You know, there was a survey now in France, and they asked people how you met your boyfriend. For adolescents, how you met your boyfriend during the COVID and the lockdown.
Yeah.
And they use the platforms to meet each other, and at the end of the day, of the year, it's almost a year, 80% fail after meeting them and having some relationship with these new boyfriends. 80% have no relationship with them. It means that it's for adolescent, and you know that adolescent knows very well using virtual tools. It means that exactly the same. If you use virtual tools, you could use them for very technical things. But if you go further, and if you want to work with intelligence, not with AI intelligence, but if you want to work with humanity, you have to renew your way of thinking. It means that you have to think in parallel, to integrate to all the digitalization, technical digitalization, the other soft intelligence. It means you have to think about relationship, to to save the private life. You cannot ask, for instance, your staff to work at 11 at night. It's impossible. Or today, we are working 20 hours per day because we have no limits. You know, for instance, myself, I have some webinar yesterday at 10 o'clock because 10 o'clock p.m., 10 o'clock, because I have my counterpart, my partner is in Washington. And in the morning, I can start at 7 o'clock because my other partner is in the Gulf country. It's impossible. Just small things, how we can find a way to be just human for women.
Yes.
It's not so hard. The problem is that firms and big enterprise are going to exploit more because they have the flexibility of hours had no limit, and we have to put limits. The limits is the obligatory for laws and for digitalization. You have, I think that I don't know who spoke just before me. I think he spoke about new law. To have new law, to have new export law. You have to have new investment law. You have to have new corruption law, anti-corruption law. But you have also to have new protecting law for men and women at work, because we have to separate the work for family and the work for your jobs. And I think that it's very, very difficult period because we are entre deux. We don't know when I am with you and when I am in my kitchen. When I am with you, even in the upper class, it's very, very difficult, even in the upper class, that we can manage to separate the hours and the time. To manage, we have to learn how it's new training through new way of life to separate and to manage our time for pleasure and for life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Burawi. Actually, I loved it when you talked about respect. I wrote this word all in capital letters because we know that, yes, definitely there needs to be laws, absolutely, to cope with all those changes in the nature of work and the way we work, definitely. But we all know that laws are going to take probably years to come. That's just the way it works. But I loved it when you talked about respect, about setting boundaries, about respecting yourself and having your employer respect you and setting boundaries. Although we know it's not easy because boundaries are blurred. Like you said, we never know if we are in the kitchen or we are in a meeting or we're working, we don't know anymore. So even if we have daycare services and they are affordable and we have the right services for women who have children, that's not gonna help them, separate their professional lives from their family life when they're working at home, unless that, like you said, they have the right mindset, they make the right decisions about their personal life, which is basically about respect and about emotional intelligence and not really about laws, at least at the first place. So yes, I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much, Dr. Burawi. Actually, I have another question for you, if you don't mind. We have a lot of questions for you today. Can I ask you another question? Dr. Burawi?
No, I don't understand. Repeat, please. I
said, can I ask you another question?
Yes, please. Please.
Good. So my second for you is about discrimination in the digital world versus discrimination in our real world. So the expert you are probably can tell us if this discrimination is happening like in the same way, with the same proportions in the digital world, within the digital platforms, or is it different from everything else that we are experiencing in real life? Is that different? And if it is, can you tell us in which way?
Je vais parler en français pour être dans les nuances.
Yeah, please.
Pour être dans les nuances, parce que c'est très compliqué à dire, mais je vais prendre l'exemple de la vie publique et politique, la vie politique. Okay. Parce que le monde des affaires, c'est un peu comme la vie politique. Mais ça ne se voit pas encore. La digitalisation qui touche les femmes et les hommes, aujourd'hui, on est dans l'immédiat. Ça n'a pas été, c'est pas la même chose. Alors, mais il faut prendre les leçons de ce qui se passe pour les femmes dans la vie publique et politique. Je viens d'écrire un article sur la violence contre les femmes parlementaires, les femmes élues. Les femmes élues, les parlementaires, les conseillères municipales, dans tous les pays du monde, hein, pas seulement dans les pays arabes. D'abord, dans les pays arabes, il y en a beaucoup moins. Bon. Mais, et alors, ce qu'on voit, c'est que les harcèlements pour les femmes publiques et les femmes politiques, les harcèlements se font surtout par voie digitale.
Okay.
Et les harcèlements sont tellement importants qu'il y a des femmes parlementaires en Amérique latine et ailleurs qui ont renoncé à leurs fonctions. Et il y en a même qui se sont suicidées. Est-ce que vous comprenez ce que ça veut dire? Une femme qui se suicide parce qu'elle est tellement mise en cause, ou elle se retire, ou elle renonce, ou elle se suicide. Et donc, la question est très grave parce qu'il n'y a pas de loi, il n'y a aucune loi, il n'y a pas, même les conventions internationales qui sont valables, même pour les harcèlements en ligne, ne sont pas spécifiques pour les harcèlements en ligne. Et actuellement, depuis 2 ou 3 ans, un peu plus peut-être, la communauté internationale est en train d'essayer de trouver des législations et surtout des réglementations internes dans les parlements eux-mêmes ou dans les municipalités elles-mêmes, par des réglementations, pas par des lois, mais par des règlements internes, par des codes d'éthique, justement, pour protéger justement les femmes élues contre, ou les femmes qui arrivent à de grands postes, des femmes leaders, contre ces violences. Yes. C'est exactement pareil dans le milieu des affaires. Le jour où les femmes deviendront réellement compétitives avec les hommes, et comme dans le monde des affaires, la sauvagerie du gain gagne tout de toute façon, comme en politique, on va avoir des discriminations contre les femmes qui vont être pires que celles qui existent dans la vie réelle, parce qu'elles ne se voient pas et qu'elles sont sournoises. Et donc, une femme qui déjà, au niveau de la loi de son pays, est déjà discriminée par la loi, grâce à la loi, elle est discriminée. Vous n'allez pas hériter comme votre frère, vous êtes discriminé. Bon, ça peut être bien, vous allez trouver que c'est formidable, mais vous êtes discriminé quand même. Vous allez avoir la moitié quand même. Et quand vous allez à la banque, vous allez avoir la moitié du patrimoine si on vous le donne. De toute façon, généralement, on ne vous le donne même pas. Alors, en plus de cette discrimination légale, il y a la discrimination dans les stéréotypes, les pratiques, etc., dans la vie de tous les jours. Mais dans la vie digitale, ça va être pire parce qu'elle va être sournoise. Votre collègue, il va vous envoyer une insulte à travers le web. Votre collègue ou votre patron qui va vous faire une invitation, ou votre collègue ou votre inférieur qui va profiter pour vous insulter. Mais si vous voulez le condamner, vous ne pourrez pas parce que la législation n'est pas adaptée. Donc, ce que moi je dis, c'est que la discrimination, tant mieux que maintenant on est tous un peu myopes, mais le jour où elle va se généraliser, il va y avoir de nouvelles infractions, mais qui ne sont pas dans le code pénal, qui ne sont pas dans le code administratif. Donc, les discriminations nouvelles, celles qui se font par, y compris l'intelligence artificielle, elles seront importantes. Ça, c'est une des discriminations graves parce que c'est des infractions qui touchent à l'intégrité de la personne. Mais il y a les autres discriminations, les discriminations des classes sociales. La classe moyenne de nos pays, qui était moyenne, c'est-à-dire elle arrivait à acheter un réfrigérateur, une machine à laver, hein, les petits plaisirs, c'est-à-dire l'allègement. À travers le net, maintenant avec la digitalisation, la classe moyenne va s'appauvrir sur le plan digital, parce qu'il y aura des tools auxquels qu'elle va pas atteindre, parce qu'elle les connaît pas, parce qu'il faut une éducation digitale. D'ailleurs, notre collègue l'a dit, il faut une éducation digitale. Et cette éducation digitale n'est pas dans nos écoles des pays pauvres. Et donc, on va se débrouiller par nous-mêmes. Et quelle que soit notre manière de nous débrouiller, on ne pourra pas être des polytechniciens du digital. Et donc, l'égalité qu'on est parvenu à avoir, l'échelle sociale qui a permis à des gens pauvres, de familles pauvres, de monter dans nos pays et arriver à la classe moyenne, l'ascenseur social, il ne va pas marcher dans le digital sans information. Et pas seulement l'éducation formelle, la scolarisation, qui devrait être aussi dans le digital, mais il y a l'écosystème. Et je crois que notre ami l'a dit, notre collègue l'a dit, si vous n'avez pas un écosystème digital, comment voulez-vous vous digitaliser? Et donc, je crois que les pouvoirs publics, c'est un problème vraiment de gouvernance. La digitalisation est à prendre au sérieux. C'est vraiment un problème d'indépendance des pays et de souveraineté nationale et d'indépendance réelle, c'est-à-dire on ne doit pas dépendre entièrement, déjà on dépend pas mal, mais on doit au moins avoir un écosystème qui nous permet au moins d'accéder aux autres, puisque les autres nous fournissent tout. Est-ce que nous, on est en train d'inventer le Zoom? Pas du tout. Alors, il faut qu'on ait au moins l'accès au Zoom. On n'a pas inventé le Zoom, on n'inventera jamais le Zoom, mais au moins on accède au Zoom. Donc voilà, je crois que la discrimination pour les femmes, elle est double de celle des hommes, mais il ne faut pas que les hommes rêvent, parce que tant qu'ils sont dans nos territoires, ils seront aussi soumis à la discrimination par rapport aux hommes qui sont situés dans les autres territoires. Voilà ce que je voulais dire.
Dr. Burawi, thank you very much. We would love to keep listening to your insights and what you have to share for hours. Definitely, and it's true. But as you know, we're almost done. We're actually done with the Q&A session. But again, thank you very much, Dr. Burawi. We enjoyed each and everything of your answers, and we will need to move now to our closing remarks, to our last session, and the closing remarks of the cycle of BusinessMed webinars. Again, thank you to all our speakers for trying to answer our attendees' questions. And the last session will be presented by Marco Cunetto. I don't know if Marco is here.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, Ines.
How are you doing?
Everyone.
Did you enjoy all our presentations?
Great.
As I did? That was wonderful.
It was amazing.
You cannot say no, Marco.
Let's be mean to you.
It was really interesting and insightful.
Sorry?
It was very insightful, very interesting discussions.
Absolutely. I personally enjoyed and learned a lot, enjoyed every single presentation. So Marco, before giving you the floor, let me take a few seconds to present you for people who don't know you, right? So Marco is a senior development professional. He's actually the International Cooperation Manager at Businessmen, right? And stop me if I say anything that is not correct or incomplete, but basically he's the International Cooperation Manager at Businessmen. He's also a senior development professional with 8+ years experience in managing international and regional programs and projects. He has led the operational management portfolio of more than 800 companies and NGOs within the mixed Italian Chamber of Commerce. He holds an MBA in economy, a double master degree in the field of scientific research in socio-political affairs in the MENA region. And it keeps going on and on and on, but I don't have much time. But Marco, you have a great and impressive resume. So happy to have you and can't wait to hear what you have to say when it comes to the closing remarks of the entire cycle of the BusinessMed webinar. So whenever you're ready, we're ready to listen.
Many thanks, Ines. Many thanks to you all for the passions also. I'll try to be very short today since I know you're very tired. And this webinar experience is always a tiring exercise, I would say, but indeed useful for all of us. Let me start with the story. It comes as no surprise that 3 years ago, we start the EBSOMED project, and we launched the EBSOMED project in Tunisia with a very big event focusing on artificial intelligence, AI. And during this event, Ines was involved as a speaker and trainer. So, and let's say it's very curious to see how actually the EBSOMED project had in 3 years ago when COVID-19, when there was no COVID, no pandemic and so on, we tackled issues such as artificial intelligence and digitalization that was not really tackled, particularly in the Southern Mediterranean neighborhood. So I am very proud and pleased and happy also to see 3 years after Ines with us to follow up with us this process. So many thanks, Ines, for your moderation and for your support within our EBSOMED project. So before giving you a glimpse of the discussions we had during the last months through the start of this EBSOMED webinars organized by BusinessMed and the discussions we had during this all this period, some statements which are, I think, important to ascribe the logic of all these interventions and discussions within the EBSOMED project is absolutely mandatory. First of all, what we understood is that the private sector needs informed decisions. This is very important. As much as concrete evidence with which all the stakeholders can use to look at the future to shape interventions can be also combined with the partnerships with each other and the governments and benefit from it. We observed that there is a lacuna in documenting realistic opportunities, particularly in the Southern neighborhood countries, and actually also areas of mutual interest that arise around mechanisms of engagement, and especially around models that can work in a long-term perspective. We explored several mechanisms at the regional level, but at the very localized levels, there are many examples of innovations being championed. However, these experiences are not, in our opinion, very well displayed, let's say, and showcased. And these kind of webinars is a clear example on how, let's say, we can, let's say, showcase these best practices in the region, but also at the local level. And this we need also, this is an opportunity of interaction between all these stakeholders of the ecosystem, the private sector ecosystem, but also public ecosystem in addressing these critical barriers which are existing, unfortunately, but also new approaches to the negotiation of partnership contracts, and actually could be also a tool to effectively measure the performance of private sector practices. So let's use this opportunity actually to rethink our priorities and to make change happen by being more creative and also innovative. And we must take this as an opportunity, actually. So today we discuss about digitalization. I'll come back to this point later on, but indeed there is a need of innovation and digitalization both for investors and local companies, together with making public services future-proof. So what we would like to do, or what we would like to contribute to with the EBSOMED project, besides all the components and dimension we are working on, is to help build economies that work for people, so that we can create the long-term opportunities for people. Today, let's say we mentioned so many times opportunities for opportunities for women, for young people. They need to work for their own economies and societies instead of risking their lives while crossing the Mediterranean. And this is a very important point. So going back to our set of our webinars, actually we tried to put in the same part several dimensions which are transversal and which are important and fundamental, particularly for employers organizations, business organizations, and civil society organizations. Our approach is a multi-stakeholder one, in which all the actors are asked to contribute. And these kind of proposals of recommendations will be indeed further explored by governments. At least we'll try to reach governments and ministers to give up the opinion of the private sector representatives around the region. During the first webinar, we saw that effectively the COVID-19 situation was particularly last year was represented by a drop of foreign direct investments, which are expected to drop further by more than 30%. And based on this track record, the involvement of the private sector is crucial, particularly to meet the SDG by 2030, so the SDGs agenda. But also it is important to look into the real actions on the ground, not only at the policy level in the southern Mediterranean countries, and see which are the main challenges faced by BSOs, employers organizations, private sector representatives as key job creators, and check if the SDGs could be a solution for transforming the private sector and connecting business initiatives in response to COVID-19 in terms of employment, in terms of employability and sustainability of SMEs, and particularly for MSMEs. We have the pleasure today to have Mohamed Razaz from the Union for the Mediterranean, and we need to say that the UFM has moved since day first of the COVID-19 to adapt its program and priorities in a way to be conducive to a post-pandemic recovery. Hence, they need to revisit also the private sector strategy, but also the business models, let's say, of Mediterranean SMEs, but also to switch and link all this to the sustainable and human development efforts in the region. That is why let's say the word dialogue is a key word which is crossing all the webinars we had in the last months. So the private sector assumes in this case a bigger role in a post-pandemic recovery. But for it to fully realize this role, it has to be empowered and accompanied in a way that usher in what would benefit the region in compliance with the SDGs. And so we will need to provide a common language and best practices guidance to integrate impact management as well as impact investment, for example, into business and investment practices. And the most effective way to address these challenges is through adjusting to new models, by pushing public and private partnerships, by building alliances at the level of sectors and employers organizations themselves, less competition and more cooperation and coordination among these actors of the ecosystem, but also by, I would say, reorganizing the sectors, companies, and employers' organizations on social responsibility schemes, and maintaining also good safety and health levels at the workplace, which is important. Actually, we can sum up all this by telling that it is crucial to invest in people, and this will be the key in allowing companies to survive. Then we moved to the second topic, which was imbalances in the labor market. and the way forward to promote employment and employability through social dialogue between employers and trade union organizations, which is a very sensitive topic, but indeed mandatory and crucial also from the business perspective. Social dialogue is a tool that can help the process of transformation. In South-Med countries, employers and workers, trade unions and employers have to consolidate their voices through social dialogue, which also implies, and I'll come back to the topic of the first webinar, dealing with SDGs, with women empowerment, investment and dialogue in view of bringing recommendations and a common vision to the governments. In that sense, social dialogue, but also I would say civic dialogue and social partnerships should be valued as a bridge between political regulations and civil society at large. Social dialogue in the region also, this is one of what we observed following the discussions we had. Social dialogue in the region requires also a bottom-up participation and approach. Maybe we'll have the pleasure to talk more widely about the SOLID project in another session, another opportunity. And this means that, which is the project for the promotion of social dialogue in the Mediterranean, led by Businessmen, which also means that social partners should show to the members that this is useful to negotiate agreements, to stretching to the political, but also the economic agenda as well. And it is only by enhancing employers' organizations and BSOs know-how and capacities, and building their capacities indeed, that we will manage to involve them more in the social dialogue process. We then moved to the upskilling imperative, and we try to explore the nexus between the vocational training and the new services of business support organizations. And we saw that actually the pandemic has exacerbated the vulnerability of the vocational training sector and has revealed that it lacks the building foundations to be resilient. Participants discussed the way to build foundation for resilient vocational training systems to ensure business continuity. As a matter of fact, the World Economic Forum, in one of its last reports of October 2020, stated that by 2025, the 15% of the workforce role will be redundant, and that 13.5% of emerging jobs may grow. And these jobs are related to technology sector. We mentioned today some of the sectors, machine learning, artificial intelligence, with the specific roles such as data analyst, big data specialist, and so on, so that 97 million new roles will emerge from technology-related business, and 30% of the workforce will need to reskilling and upskilling. And this means that employers must invest in reskilling employees if they plan to upgrade their business. And here we come to the adaptation of the business models, but also to the flexibility of these companies. In the Southern Neighborhood region, the vet sector has been enabled, unfortunately, to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 and developed a rapid learning continuity plan. And this has been combined with the high levels of unemployment, particularly for Palestine, for example. So to sum up in a nutshell, private sector engagement in the VET sector is key. The VET solution calls for close and solid collaboration with the private sector, which are the major recruiter of the jobs of the future. And this engagement could take several forms, but the result is to create a solid and sustainable, I would say also robust, partnerships that allow both parties to continuously report the skills need and to adjust also TVET training accordingly. Just So here, the role of employees organization is not only about it's not only a consultative role, but also a development role. I mean, employees organization and private sector organizations as part of this process. BSOs, indeed, at large, can have also a key role in mitigating a labor market disruption, and they can systematically be involved in the skills development process through, let's say, providing specific fora or organized careers related events, skills forecasting also, and promoting that career path for youth. Among the recommendations, also the development of linkages between VET institutions and employers association, the improvement of forecast to reduce the skills gaps and mismatches with the major role of CSOs, but also, sorry, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But also to capitalize on e-learning and virtual classroom solutions. Today, we mentioned several points which are very interesting. We talked about the nexus and how the sanitarian disruption is going in parallel with the technological disruption. We mentioned some best practices such as the Estonian one promoted by the Union for the Mediterranean, which is a very promising, I think, opportunity also for the Southern Neighborhood region. And maybe we can have a discussion on that with Mr. Azaz later on. We talked about the importance of investing in digital on ROI, return on investment, investing in digital infrastructure as a basis also to fulfill this process of digitalization for BSOs, but also for companies. We touched upon the importance of, let's say, lay the ground for guidance, for create or establish a guidance on managing a remote workforce, which is indeed particularly important. We talked about soft intelligence. We talked about tools such as the business country tax platform. We touched upon the nexus between women and digitalization, and here I would like to sincerely congratulate Dr. Burawi and the Kautar for this tremendous work achieved in mapping women organization and digitalization penetration rate, which is, I think, very important, and this will be also the future of our project. We have observed how employees organizations from Europe, but also from the southern neighborhood, such as Malta Employers Association and the Confederation of General of Enterprises of Morocco, but also Federation of Egyptian Industries, are putting in place strategies actually to readapt their business models and also their offers to the members. There are lots of opportunities that are arising. For example, Sharon mentioned the roadmap for digitalization of the structure. This is also part of the services we are offering to our members through the project, through mentoring, technical assistance missions, and so on. And this is a real and concrete result of the project that we hope this could be replicated also in the southern Mediterranean countries. We talked about this new paradigm of digitalization. I was very, let's say, not surprised, but interested in listening to Dr. Burawi when she talks about the ubiquity I mean, the fact that being everywhere and every time, but also let's say the link to the discrimination, particularly under in this specific scenario, is important. There is so much stuff. I don't know, Ines, how we will resume all this in the paper, but I think we have very good ideas and insightful discussions that could feed the report that we will be publishing in the EBSOMED website.
Absolutely.
Let me finish briefly, shortly. I would say that dialogue will continue to be our most powerful tool to learn from each other and to generate new ideas. The Union for the Mediterranean, in this sense, has offered and continuing to offer a unique platform to keep the dialogue active. We are in a period of change, so changes are at the beginning. Then it becomes messy in the middle and gorgeous at the end. So we hope that all together, all these actors involved, national and local authorities, private sector, civil society organizations, universities, women-led organizations, CSOs, and financial institutions, we can ensure altogether prosperity and stability for all of us, stability for our region, fulfilling our mutual interests. So thank you very much for your interest, for your attention, for your participation. Thank you very much, Ines, and all the participants. And just the last thing, last but not least, please, we published the 3 reports of the last webinars of the SAT of the BSO Management Academies organized by BusinessMed and the EBSOMED website. Maybe I could share in here a slide quickly. That's it. So you will find all the publication resources in the EBSOMED website at the section resources. So please visit our website indeed. And if you have any other question, or if you'd like to discuss more in depth all the subjects, will be the EBSOMED team actually that I would like to congratulate will be at your full disposal.
Thank you very much, Marco. Thank you to all the speakers, today's speakers, and all the other webinars. We really enjoyed listening to you. And Mark, thank you, Marco, for this comprehensive summary. Definitely. So definitely, dialogue is absolutely the key. Please, just like Marco said, make sure you go ahead and check the website, ebsomed.eu. That's ebsomed.eu. There's a lot going on, a lot of events. Definitely, you need to check the website, and don't forget to follow the Facebook page as well. Everything is mentioned in there if there are any upcoming events. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, EBSOMED team, for having me as a speaker and trusting me with this moderation mission. I really enjoyed it every single time we worked together, and wish you good luck for all the upcoming projects. Thank you very much.